that, and now we are live on YouTube. And eventually this thing will find the stream, but I can prompt it once this thing jumps up. Hello, YouTubers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're working on a manual pick and place machine. I think this should be a pretty fun project. I do have a lot of eurorack synthesizer stuff coming up, but one of them is going to be to build a pretty big filter. And it's got multiple boards, like multiple layers of PCBs that all have a bunch of electronics. So I am ready. Prepare yourselves for electronics and things related to electronics. Yes, I wanted to do a miscellaneous stream because I've got a bunch of like little things that I need to do. That may be a Thursday, and then another AutoCAD ad. I'm thinking about. Hang on, let's look at that before we. I won't look at the pick and place yet. We're gonna look at that when the stream is officially started. By the way, anybody who doesn't understand it, streamers that I knew from the Red Letter Media guys, two of them that when they used to do their stream, they would sit down and hang out with everybody and like talk to them and answer questions and stuff, not related to the game that they were going to play. Because when they started to play the game, they would be playing the game, and then donations, they would only, the monetary incentive was that you had to pay money in order for them to read your questions and stuff. And so there were some super users that would like hit them with question after question after question. You start to think, each of these questions is like a couple dollars. How much are they spending just to talk to these guys and have like a conversation? And I'm like, I would rather listen to them playing the game, you know, and that being what prompts them to say things. But anyway, they would, at the beginning of the stream, they would just sit down and hang out and talk to people. And so that's kind of what I do with this stream, is I sit down, hang out, talk to people. I haven't started the project yet. Stream Start Soon is up there in order to say, hey, we're not quite streaming yet. And people don't understand. For me, I guess I define working on the project as streaming, because I am subject to the title of the stream. Let's say the project is stated in the title, and I work on the project that's stated in the title. That's how I think of it. You know, and I got music going on Twitch, maybe to be replaced by synthesizer noises at some point. And that way I could also broadcast that to YouTube. All right, the 505. Let me just get a couple circuit boards moved here. There's a lot of detritus out on this table because this is where I've been working on the pick and place, because there's a lot of space. There's enough space for me to kind of spread my thoughts out like marmalade on toast. Or a good schmear. Maybe lox and a bit of cream cheese. Really kind of spread it. All right, without bending components. This thing is all through-hole components. It's kind of crazy. The computer has a lot of surface mount components, but you would never see this many through-hole components on a device these days. It's all through-hole. It's crazy. All right, it's a little bit laid out there. What is that? That is a piece of plastic. 3D printer stuff. On the 505, I am tempted to do another hashtag AutoCAD because... Where's my mouse? My mouse is like under it. To be fair, I should probably take all this stuff out and wash it. Oh, it's like taped in place. Interesting. There's a piece of double-sided tape that holds all the buttons in place. Obviously, they're supported by the circuit board when they go in, but this just kind of holds them there. So this is a replacement screen. And it looks like they used hot glue to connect it. Why do they use hot glue on top of screws? Because there's a screw there. Oh, they were missing screws? Oh, well, maybe we don't need to. I was going to design some kind of a 3D printed solid for this, but we can drill and tap these if we need to. What do they do? Well, let me get a closer look. Now that I know these are taped in and they're not going anywhere, we can actually like mess around with this. I don't want to scratch the front. Oh, okay, so they don't line up. That's what it is. This one lines up, but then the others don't quite. That one almost lines up. And then the ones over here are just floating out in space, still supported by like a micro-sized amount of metal, but it looks like the distance is not negotiable. Now, it's designed for a very slightly different module. So I could maybe make something that grips the back of this and then drops in there. I think that's doable. So we'll have something that screws on top and has two pegs that go into the LCD mount and pushes it down. And this will just come off. Yeah, this is stupid. Stupid shit. Stupid shit. Somebody did stupid shit, of course. And we got to deal with it. So there's barely any perch there, and we'll just take measurements of this and this. Maybe we'll work on this today. I wanted to get progress on the pick and place because I've got modules coming in the mail, but no, we'll do the pick and place because the thumbnail is all about that. It's all about that pick and place life. But yeah, this is another AutoCAD ad that we'll do later then, where all we do is we design a bracket that goes right here, and then that'll mount the LCD properly, and it'll be two screws that are in very close proximity to one another, and it'll just be a piece of plastic that sits right here and has kind of like an elegant solution for the mounting of a slightly different sized LCD. This is a very common fix for the 505, where their LCD was a little bit more of like a professional kind, where you don't have like the metal around it, and this is a common character LCD, and then they've got a pinout converter here. So that they can go to the cable that the 505 originally used. And the pinout converter is literally just like swapping the pin locations. And then this is for the brightness of the LCD. So it's a very simple upgrade, and it's just something that a lot of people have had to do because those other style LCDs where it's like an exposed piece of glass on a zebra cable, that just goes bad. It just goes bad. These character LCDs are a little better, and they're ubiquitous. So if ever this thing goes out, you can buy another red LCD. There's a dog barking in the background, and that's all that I can hear is this dog desperately barking. Barf, barf. Shut up, dog. Jeez. That'll be another AutoCAD ad. We'll make that happen. I don't know what the piece of paper is that's there. Weird. All right, let me put this away. Oh my God, the dog is just outside, just burf, burf, burf in the next yard. The neighbor's dog. She's a good dog though. She's one of those Irish, no, Scottish? Oh, I forget. Not a Burmese mountain dog. It's not quite. They look like it though. They look a little bit like a Burmese mountain dog. Oh, I forget what the breed is called. Darn it. Oh well. You guys don't need that info. Oh, here we go. Madamu's in chat. Oh, let me get chat running. Auto find and activate. Okay. That. Madamu, what's going on? All right, so. Oh my God, the dog barking is going to drive me nuts. How are we doing today? We have our YouTube viewer. We've got our Twitch viewers. There's like one or more. It's Tuesday, my bro. Has it already Tuesdayed? Yeah, I know it's Tuesday because it's my stream day. You guys can't hear it. Oh, good. Okay, yeah, I know a lot of that ambient sound does not get in. Although, to be fair, I put on headphones last night when I was watching a Buck stream, Bucklington, who's a fellow type 1 diabetic. And I could hear the air conditioner in the background with headphones on. There was some kind of a buzz and the audio was very quiet. His mic is a little quiet. I think he needs to go over his audio setup again. But who am I to judge? I should probably listen to one of my streams on my speakers and see how it is. Because that's what I originally did. Originally, when I set up the stream, what I did was I recorded myself saying test, or well, a test phrase, right? So you say, what is it? It's pop, pop, popsicle, because the P, bike, bike, bicycle, because the B, it goes blah, blah, blah. You're letting out sort of an audio front. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. And you say that the same way, the same position from your microphone, while recording. And what I did is I recorded it through OBS just to see the whole entire audio chain, and then played the file back with good headphones, and then played the file back on speakers in order to determine where the tuning variables should be for your audio setup. So you sound good. I hope I don't overemphasize the lows, and I exemplify the highs so that my treble and my bass are in good balance with each other. I sound not like I think I sound in my head, but a little bit more like I sound in real life. A Waymo taxi with 2 passengers tried to speed from police through a construction zone. And they tried to give him a $40 voucher to apologize. At what point, what's the legal definition on kidnapping? Because I would be lawyering, I'd be finding a nice lawyer. Automated DIY pick and place machines can be built with old 3D printers, which is kind of a cool thing. I don't have an old 3D printer because I keep the one 3D printer from 2014, 2016, 17 actually. No, I think it was 2016 when that wasn't when I started streaming, was it? No. Yeah, I think that was when I started streaming. It was, I think I was streaming before that. Only barely. Anyway, the 3D printer that I bought 10 years ago, I've been refurbishing and refurbishing and refurbishing, and it no longer resembles what it used to be. It is a much more advanced machine, although it's still running off of all the same principles. Hey, Bamboo Labs. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Bamboo? Want to send me a printer that I can then subsequently probably replace the brain of and get myself out of their ecosystem, but with their hardware, because they have some nice hardware. Takes up a lot of space though. My printer is a little bit more skeletal than that. Is Bamboo dead? Everybody got sent Bamboo printers. I'm so jealous. So if you guys are wondering, because people are like, Bother's this big, crazy, well-known streamer. People know my name somehow, and I'm always shocked. If you want to know the level that I'm at, I can't even get Bamboo to send me a free printer. I sent them an email. Get them at their lowest. Hey, send me some of your stock, your new old stock. You just send me an old printer. Yeah, so they won't return my calls. And then there's this like laser welder that would be actually kind of brilliant to use with my car to fix all the rust on the sills of my car and get the jack pads back on it and make my car a car again. And maybe I probably should get like a modern inspection on my car. I need to pay for the registration, and then I need to take it to like a shade tree mechanic inspection place that won't like throw up as soon as they see my car, because I think my car will pass inspection, regular inspection, not antique. But I can also register as an antique, but then I can't drive at night. Not that I drive it all that much anyway. So I don't know. I've been using my car lately. Been borrowing car. Maybe I should sell my car, but then I don't have any transportation, and not having transportation, personal transportation in America, it's like a death sentence. If I lived in the middle of the city, which I would love to do, then I could get away with it, and I could, walk to the grocery store and stuff, but I ain't flying around here. And the city's gotten really expensive anyway. Yep, so I'm stuck with my car. Sell it and try to get a real car. No, I'm never gonna do that. I'm gonna be stuck in the 90s and 2000s in cars for the rest of my life if I can manage. I don't want all the computers. It's too many computers. It's all computer. Here, let's get this thing. Let's get the hot plate. The hot plate. Ooh, what is that doing there? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I can barely get the hot plate out. There's too much stuff down here. Whew. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to operate on the hot plate with this thing. We'll take a look in a minute. Boop, 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 boop. All right, so we got pick and place stuff. I've got CAN bus stuff that I need to get to. I've got the entire simulator setup is sitting literally right behind me. I need to move it if I were to sit at my desk. Fun times. How's everybody doing today? Let's get Starsoon out of here, and we'll get going on this. Things are a little crazy around here. We've gone through a transitional period where one of the people in the house is retired, and so schedules have got to be settled upon and everything. Did you fix the electrical issues? Which electrical issues are we talking about? Because I am a man of many electrical issues. Where do we start? The UPS? No. The battery gets here today, and then I need to power down everything, so I don't even have internet when I do this. Power down everything, and then I need to yank this mofo, that guy, I need to yank it out in order to change the batteries. I'll probably dust it too, because look at that. So I'll slide this out, replace the batteries on it, slide it back in, get this back on. If you guys don't know, yesterday, it was a Sunday in the Northeast and it was over 80 degrees. Sorry, not yesterday, day before yesterday, a Sunday in the Northeast, and it was over 80 degrees everywhere. And my shit just kept restarting. What Pico Energy would do is probably switch to a different line, and it would click, and there would be a little click over. And this UPS, apparently the battery has gone bad, which is just wonderful. The batteries last probably about 4 years and then crap out. And I bought this probably about 4 years ago. You can tell by the vintage of dust on it. What's the rating? I would know if it was yesterday and I was still looking it up. It's a trip light, and it can run this whole setup that's about 200 watts for about 20 minutes. It takes two big security systems, the sealed lead acid 12-volt batteries, and they load in from the side, which is annoying. And you can also hook this up to more batteries if you need to, but 20 minutes is enough time for my server to shut down and for for me to run in and shut down the stream PC. But all the internet and stuff is on that. So whenever this thing chunks out with a bad battery, the router resets. Yeah, essentially that. The router resets, and then all of my automated light stuff fails to log back into Wi-Fi. It's just like, oh, this is cool. I'm totally fine. So all of the lights that just turned off don't work anymore, and I have to run around and replug them. I don't know how to get around that, and I looked it up online, and it seems like you need to set up rules, and you program the rules through the console on the intranet website that the Tasmodo device creates. I use Tasmodo because it gets me out of the ecosystem of whatever smart plug thing they want you to use. They want you to have 16 apps to turn on and off your lights and stuff. That stuff is local. It stays local. Nobody can access it from the internet. And my OBS and my Node-RED stuff is what really communicates with all that. It's running off of a Mosquito MQTT broker that is a Docker on the server. So when the power blips, it really messes with everything. So I'm getting new batteries coming in, and then I'll hook them up, and then I have to reboot everybody before I come up with those rules that I got to set. I don't know how to do that yet. I have a little work to do, and it'll make the shop a little bit less prone to cutting out. Basically, what happens in the middle of the night sometimes, power will blip on and off in the suburbs. So all I understood was train station. I didn't say train station. I didn't say that. That's what? Huh? I love Twains. No, but anyway, yeah, so I've been working on, what do I do? So I had to buy $60 worth of batteries, and then I'm going to have to install those and do that. And then at some point, I would love to do a battery clinic stream where we learn how to refurbish these stupid batteries that I got 500 of. It's a saying in Germany, if you can't follow what somebody's saying. All I understood is train station. Why is it always trains with Germans? Why is it always trains? You guys love trains, man. I mean, trains are pretty cool as an engineer, but if you can't figure it out, I sure as hell can't. Tasmoda is the ecosystem, and the rest of the stuff came organically tapped on top of that. And I had a couple patrons of the stream, Leb TV Live especially, sort of ushering me into this level of automation. It's cool stuff though. If you can take it piecemeal and learn how to get that stuff running, it is true home automation. You can also run Node-RED flows with whatever that home automation thing is called. I think it's literally called home automation or something. But yeah, you can run the two of them, but home automation is more specialized and Node-RED is sort of more of a general programming thing. It's not specifically focused on home automation, which makes it more capable than that stuff. But anyway, that was my story. I was sitting there working on my computer, and right when everything cut out, Home Assistant, that's the one, thank you. Everything would cut out and come back on. It would just quickly blip. Like a son of a bitch, and I'd have to run around, unplug and replug, set breakers, go upstairs to the third floor and reset a GFCI breaker in the bathroom because my shop lights are hooked up to that circuit. If somebody's like shaving with an electric razor and they drop it into the sink, my lights go out. Why did they design this house this way? I think they wanted to save on breakers, and so they thought that people would be waking up in the morning and then going to the kitchen and then going to the other spaces in the house. So they thought in the 90s that people wouldn't occupy the same spaces at the same times, which they're a little bit right about, but at the same time, it's kind of weird to have my lights depend on the master bathroom's GFCI breaker in the front right corner. Like, why have you done this? So yeah, I've got to get the Tasmota devices to listen to rules so that they come back up. But that was my weekend story. As soon as I'd reset everything, it would blip again. And I think it's because everybody was using their air conditioners pretty heavily. It's very annoying. Also, a lot of tree work from some storms that we had recently. Anyway, we're not working on that. We're working on my manual pick and place. I have decided that I want to get that shot that everybody sees on Reddit every week, which is the shot of all of the solder on a board that's using solder paste to flow at the same time. So it all becomes liquid at the same time. Solder paste is essentially a suspension of little beads of solder in flux, and solder and flux go together really nicely. And when you paste that down onto the pads of an unpopulated circuit board, you can basically place all of your components on top of those pads. That's what surface mount technology is. Here's the right side. That's what surface mount technology is all about. You place solder paste on those little reflective metal pads, and then you put a component down on top of it, and then you heat it up and everything flows over at once, and the surface tension pulling on all those pins all at the same time aligns all of your components. It's really cool looking. You can also get a stencil of the circuit board that you've made and wipe over the stencil to give you the exact amount of solder paste. I don't do that because it's an extra thing that I would need, and it's something that I could do in the future. But for now, I don't do long runs of circuit boards. If the day that I have merchandise, like some kind of a kit that you can buy, hey, buy the Bother kit, the Bother modular synthesizer kit, then I could see myself doing a little manufacturing. Of course, do that on stream because it's fun. But I use a hot plate because that means I can get the camera up here. I would use a reflow toaster. And actually, during my stint at the FBI Tech Center, I used one of these reflow things that actually has like a grid. It's got like a metal grating that you put it on, but it's like a conveyor belt. So you build your circuit and you very carefully move it over, put it on the metal grid, and it moves it into the oven. And the oven has a big glass top, and you can watch it flow over. Instead of a big glass top, we have a giant liability, which is just an open aluminum surface that gets super duper de-duper hot. And so I think if I were to manufacture boards, I could load this thing up with a bunch of boards, use the manual pick and place, use a manual pick and place to populate them, and then turn on the oven. That gets up to temperature, everybody flows over, and I can get a really nice microscope shot of the solder flowing over. Oh yeah, we don't need that one there. Let's get the other one out of here. Boink. There we go. A little bit more real estate. God, yellow circuit boards look so good. This is from Seed Studio. I think I might be able to get over myself and actually order circuit boards from Seed Studio again. There's some corrections that need to be made down here on this unit. This is something that I could turn into a digital filter, but moreover, this takes something that's the size of an RP2040 and these little RP2040 form factor boards also have boards that have internet capability. Father, what would you do with internet capability on a modular synthesizer that can create audio frequency waves? I can assign chat a CV that can control the synthesizer. So if I had ambient noise being made, wait a minute. There's no, oh, it connects over here. Okay, I was like, there's nothing connecting that. So I could give chat via either channel points or some kind of an applet or some kind of something. Any of my interaction layers could actually influence intro music. That would be really fun. I recall seeing a video on this. Somebody had tripped a breaker in the bathroom and it was wired to the garage. And they had 3 electricians out to figure out what. And the GFCI, yeah, the GFCI will just go off, yeah. My landlord doesn't allow me to install a mini split. What's mini split? I don't know what that is. Getting a new monoblock AC. What is that? All these things. Listen, Chad, I followed the part about the train station. I could read my garble kudos. What? It's okay. It's okay. You guys can't type. I can't interpret anything anybody's saying. We are all confused permanently. So yeah, if I decide to make like a kit, either for modular synthesizers or something else, it may happen someday. It would be kind of nice to not be allergic to making money. I could manufacture it with this setup, and this setup is basically a fully functional, a comprehensive manual pick and place. The manual pick and place is designed to keep you from being a shaky idiot when you're building circuit boards. Remember, the last time, remember, as if you guys were there, the last time that we worked on something, it was one of the ESP8266's, this $1. Oh, mini split is something that's installed with coolers indoors and the other thing outdoors. A monoblock is everything combined. Oh, okay, yeah. One of those ones where you have to run pipes to outdoors. All the Brits are discovering these systems nowadays because apparently whatever jet stream cools you guys off is now freezing the Northeast. And so we have been privy to some actually really nice weather as a result, as opposed to our normal swamp-ass summer. Apparently you guys are heating up too. So everybody's starting to look into air conditioning in England land and Europe in general. So yeah, what I wanted to build was something that I could deploy on top of the desk so that I could have all of the same stuff, access to all the same stuff, and access to my really good magnification from my Mutant microscope. The Mutant microscope is just a Logitech C920 webcam in an aluminum enclosure. And I don't know if you can find these anymore, but a place called Kurokesu near Ukraine. Anyway, they manufactured this, and it makes your webcam into a C-mount camera, which a lot of scientific cameras use. And then I immediately went from C-mount to Nikon because I had a Nikon DSLR camera. And so that gives me like a 2-foot, 2.5-foot standoff from what I'm working on. I can get tools in there. I want to still be able to use this thing with a pick and place machine. So all of the bed slinger gantries and all things like that are kind of out. I just got a portable AC jobby to stop me from turning into a raisin. I can't even imagine. All of your buildings are built to retain as much heat as possible to be good in cold, drippy weather. I've had an AC for ages, but a very old one was very noisy and mostly without coolant. Ugh. Had it mounted on a big board that could drop into the window frame. That sounds like the typical, we used to have in window AC units. It was interesting because then all of the hallways were just like transfer tubes that you would use to get from AC room to AC room. You know, close the door. The hallway is super hot. So, your typical 3D printer consists of a gantry, which is on some kind of a rail that sometimes roller rails. Linear bearings are obviously really, really good for that, for automation purposes. For our purposes, we just need something that's light. And these linear rails are decently light. I'll have to find a good grease to put in there. I have been working on putting this together out of old stuff. So I found these legs that mount pretty high up. And then I found old 2 small linear rails for like a CNC, and then old pieces of 2020 rail that I've got sitting around. And I had to really shop around to find pieces that were the right length and similar lengths. That all went together with these internal sort of grub screw fasteners. They actually push on the inner part of this sort of V-ish kind of rail, and then I've got 3D printed adapters that sit behind the MNH12 rails that keep it aligned and straight. This is a nice kit. It's extras. It's all extra stuff. Once I got this together with some extra piece of 2x1 rail, because this was either going to go towards the simulator or my desk or something. So I'm putting it here reluctantly, and I'm probably going to have to cut it. But that's just mounted with some of those internal corner pieces. So this is not as reliable of a mount. We may need to design something to go there. But then I designed something to go here, and discovered that Fusion 360 has a new flow to it. They've got kind of a new way of doing things. And it's not totally new, but basically what you have is an assembly drawing, and then your individual components that you create in that assembly are made in component things. So your typical workflow is how you make the pieces, and then all the pieces go together in an assembly. They've sort of organized it like that. Are you using aluminum also? These are aluminum rails. Aluminum rails, these are steel linear bearings. Probably stainless, I don't know. But this makes for a nice smooth armrest. Because with the manual pick and place, all this is an armrest. This is just so that you can move into position, and then you have like an arm that comes out to this that stays parallel. So that piece stays parallel, and you have a little control that can twist, lower, and raise. And through the use of these Venturi vent things, Balmain, these are $9 each. Using Venturi vents, we can create vacuum. And then on the head itself of this thing, the head of the pick and place, hold on, I need to reach over the simulator setup to get this thing. Oh my God, my desk is a mess. My desk sucks right now. Hold on. Ah! This, and then this. Okay, I think that's all I need. I need to mount something that will hold either a small tube or a syringe tube. This is a syringe tube. It's the thing that I use to fill the insulin pumps that I use with insulin. You basically are given a syringe with an actual needle on the end, and you fill that up with insulin, and then you squish it into the little adapter on the pump, and then fill the pump with insulin. So I have a bunch of little syringes like this, and they're all about 2 to 3 milliliters. The ones that actually come with my pumps now are like all plastic. These were for filling my old one, and I've got a lot of them sitting around. So if I want to keep this plastic, I'm going to use these. And the reason that I'd use these is that they have what's called a lure lock on the end. Lure lock is just a little tapered pin with threads on the outside, and your various needly things twist onto this and create a really good seal, because it's squishing plastic, tapered plastic into tapered plastic. It's a good seal. That, with this thing, with the lure lock, you can then purchase blunt nose, non-sterile syringe tips of varying sizes. So depending on what I'm picking up, I can put that blunt nose thing on there, and if we have it held parallel, you can pick up the component with vacuum and then maneuver it into place, twist it so that it's the right orientation, and then gently drop it down on top of the solder paste. So that's the idea. We're gonna have to grab some bearings and stuff from the drawers and see what I've got on me. But if I can make this with just stuff around here, I think that's as close to Nirvana as we can get here, is not buying more stuff. I have been buying some stuff. I had to get the Venturi vents. I might need to get the solenoids. These are things that go onto the back of syringes. So this would go on the back. This is like a giant one. Ordered the wrong size. I'm going to cannibalize these, but I have smaller ones now, but those go onto the back of the syringe, and that twists into place and locks it in. And so if you put pressure on this, it will dispense whatever's in the syringe. Conveniently enough, when you buy solder paste, when you buy solder paste, there you go, it comes in a syringe. So I can take the plunger off of this thing, hook that up to air, and if it's suspended with the pick in place, I can dispense the solder very purposefully, I guess, in a very controlled manner, as long as it's not old flux paste, because this stuff is old. This has probably gone off by now. 247, I'll probably have to order more. Expiry date, March 20th, 2020. Yeah, so this stuff probably won't dispense all that well. But yeah, here's one of those blunt tips. It's just basically a syringe tip that just twists into place. This one's one of the plastic ones. So that's the idea behind this whole thing, right? This was like a couple bucks. These are cheap. The syringe tips are cheap. You can get them off of Amazon. Very replaceable parts. The one that I'm basing the design off of is this thing here. And it's made in America on order. They don't have stock of these things. They make them on order. This thing costs like $7,000. It's like $4,000 to $5,000 just for that. And then in order to get it at the level of the thing you see here, it's a couple more $1,000s. It's not something that I've used this unit before on some personal projects that, you know, they let me after hours work on some stuff. So I have used this thing before. It's very nice. It's got the same setup with the 2 Venturi vents in order to create vacuum from pressure, which I think will be relatively quiet, but we'll have to test. But basically what this is the same thing that I've built with more of a wrist rest. And this unit here, this is important. This is important. Pay attention. This thing right here is what you handle. Here's the armrest to the side. I don't know why they didn't put an anime titty mouse pad on it though, because that's what I'm going to do. This thing right here is the actual head of the manual pick and place. And so it's got these big arms, these big wide arms that hold this thing up, but you can still maneuver it very lightly in the X and the Y. Then it has this handle, this is what they call the grip lever, with the gripper spindle. It's got these grabby grippers. This thing is a little handle that has a bearing in it, and I guess probably a rubber pulley. It's probably like a VCR pulley inside. The dog's barking again. It's all I can hear. It's all I can pay attention. It's just barking in my head. So yeah, when you twist that handle, the lure lock syringe tip twists as well. And so using this thing, you stay parallel to the table. It's got the Z-axis thing there, is a tension adjustable thing so that you can have it barely hold itself up. And then when you lower the handle on that, the whole thing lowers and remains parallel to the desk. We can accomplish this with Heim joints. We can use like 4 little joints that will move in that manner. And then I'll have to figure out how to spring it so that it's light and maybe adjustable. But yeah, so the twisty part is the part that I'm most interested in there. But what we're designing today, what I want to kind of get into today is look at what bearings I have and see if we can figure out something that's going to be nice and parallel and maneuverable. Whew. I've been looking at a lot of those like mini rig camera setups. I don't think that's really what'll come together here, but a lot of that mini rig camera stuff reminds me of these things. This is all just aluminum in their design. Aluminum would probably be easy. I don't know if the dog's barking at me or if it's barking at something outside, if it hears me through my open window, because it really is just behind us there. All right, let me move the hot plate out of the way. And we need to get some bearings, and then we're going to design some solids around the bearings. The whole thing that I designed, I did in Fusion 360. So, hold on a sec. Which is here. Bonk. So I've designed this whole thing. I haven't set it up for motion at all. I'm keeping these designs as minimal as possible. And from the 3D printer days, I designed this MNH, what is it? MNH 12? Oh, okay, it's in a different... that would be from, oh wait, yeah, 3D printer projects. And then... it's not 7B, that's the different one. MGN9, I believe, is the right size. Yeah, MGN9 is the size. It's very small for lightweight stuff. So I took the MGN9 rail and I put it up against some V-slot rail. This is a slightly different rail than the one that I originally designed it for. And then designed basically just a little adapter wedge. The problem is when you 3D print something, it doesn't exactly turn out like your like your drawings. So this is like super precise. I can get this down to like 7 decimal places, but the thing that was actually produced goes into a rail that's not exactly like the model that I have. And so, and it doesn't print exactly the way that you design it. So it's not a replicator, not a Star Trek replicator. So what I ended up with, oh man, I tried a new flavor of budak noodles, the fire noodles, the Korean super duper ultra spicy noodles. Yeah, dark mode fusion. It was experimental for a while. I think it might be out. Dark mode fusion is so much nicer. Every now and then you find something with like a white background. They're still kind of figuring it out. Fusion is a very live product. They do a lot of really good work on it, but yeah, dark mode is very nice. Looks so cool. I don't know if you need to be in the experimental branch or not anymore. I think you can activate it on the regular copies now. But okay, yeah, and then this is like what is this background here? River Rubicon is the background that I use. If you change the like style of the background, sometimes the metals don't look metal. It looks kind of weird. The white background is one of the better ones, but River Rubicon does pretty well for itself. So I kind of enjoy the charcoal whatever. So yeah, this didn't. Whoa. Okay, hold on, wait. Set up micro procedure. Hold on, we need to. That was a little chunky. Yeah, there we go. Much better. Your 3D print doesn't exactly. I mean, it's very close to what I wanted out of it, and we're kind of pushing it with my 3D printer's capabilities. I probably could resin print these and make some really good ones, but it would be very difficult actually to break these off of the table for the resin printer. These would do much better in resin though. They would have much more clarity. But this is good enough, right? Good enough for this. These are the spacers that I put in the rails. The thing is, and I ran into this when I was redesigning the 3D printer, is if you design it exactly to exactly fill that area, it would behoove you to install them and then measure distances between things and make things into multiple parts. So in order to mitigate the change in distance between these using the spacers, I've made this outside piece a different part from the platform itself. Once you cross the Rubicon, you can't go back. That's what they say. So I took the calipers and measured this, and then I spaced out my drawings, built this piece, and then mirror imaged it onto the other side. So that's how I built this little cart here. Yeah, these linear rails are very smooth. They need grease though. They need new grease. I need to figure out a nice light grease, probably 3-in-1 oil, onto these to make them slide around even more smoothly. What up, 3D Printer Shack? I'm sure you're very familiar with the MNH3 or that. Sorry, what was it? Something 09, whatever. But yeah, this is a very smooth motion now. Now we don't have a lot of stuff, and I only want to do one cart. I don't want to do 2 carts. Usually you do 2 carts and then it balances it nicely. I'm not going to do that. What's up, Wallen? No, listen. We actually have a decent number of people here. I don't know if hashtag AutoCAD ad, AutoCAD did ad, auto. Anyway, I don't know if hashtag AutoCAD ad made like bots come in or something. AutoCAD bots, that would be fascinating. But we usually don't have a lot of people in chat, and so filling the chat with your chat is totally fine. It's fine. $14 airbrush connection kit. I think this is going to be vital to the operation of this thing. We'll play with solenoids later. I don't know if I have enough parts for us to do solenoid play and air with my tiny mini compressor down there. I need to see if that's going to be up to snuff for all these jobs. But over the weekend, I decided to see if I could cobble all of this together, and it's going really well. So I want to kind of move forward with this a little bit. You live rent-free in my Discord UI whenever you're live. My Discord, the Oh Bother Discord has a bot in it that monitors to see whether or not you are streaming and will put you in a special category if you've gone live. I had to make my Bamboo Lab P1s a single color printer because it keeps complaining about the arms when nothing is wrong. So I took its multicolor printing privilege away to give to my better P2s. No, I'm just talking about Rails, man. I'm just talking about Rails. So yeah, we need to come up with something that's going to suspend a little handle that holds on to either the entire body of the syringe or just a little bit of it, twists it, and allows me to position it in XY. And I maybe need to make like an extension on this that'll hold up the back of my hand, because that's, I don't know, extending that out, it needs to support a little bit of my arm here. I mean, I guess I can put my hand down on this. That's a good way to lock it into position. So that I can get over to parts, pick them up, twist them into position, drop them down, preferably over the microscope. I don't know if I can make all of it over the microscope, but essentially just something that you hold on to that'll do the lowering action and keep it parallel to the desk as we operate. Once we do that, I could produce professional looking circuit boards, especially with the pressure system running and able to advance the syringes. Now, one thing that I did notice, so whatever fitting they have on the back here, I was trying to buy the same fitting. That's where I found this airbrush kit. It's like the same thing, but it's significantly smaller. Story of my life. So there's two ways that I could do the twisty thingy. I could find a rubber ring. An O-ring! That's the name of the thing that I was thinking of. I could find an O-ring that would go on this, and then put a good O-ring grease on it, and then that would be able to spin. And then this, I would have to adapt, either keep it as a tube, or I would like to have like a right angle thing on that, because this view, I guess that's okay, but it's not like we can't like see the tip of the thing that I'm placing. So the microscope would be kind of useless for this, because it's like a little bit too in its own way, and I can't see what's going on. Unless I move the microscope to a slightly different angle. Manual pick and place machine. Well, yeah, that's what we're working on. So that can twist with an O-ring in it, and that'll hold vacuum. And if I keep the long syringe, I could put like a little red plastic bead in there, so that when it's vacuuming, you can see it lift up. That would be very fun. Mirrors I could use. I've got a couple front surface mirrors I could place like just to the side of this thing. Yeah, it would be hard. I do have an endoscope cam, so maybe we could use that. Just have the endoscope cam come up on a separate window. Because I guess the microscope, like looking at this is the first time I've taken a look like this. This is not useful. This is not a useful view. So, and also my view area is like this box right here. So maybe that's not, maybe the microscope needs to be a separate add-on. Another webcam. Yeah, that's the idea for that. I don't know what any of the other stuff is going to look like. I'm going to need to get some bearings in here in order to look at it. The other thought for what I could do for the universal joint on it, not universal joint, but the, whatever it is, the fitting that would allow me to twist, would be to use these airbrush quick connect stuff. And then that plugs in, and it's a little bit greasy. There's a little bit of resistance on it. Your computer will love to orchestrate all those camera feeds. I mean, it's doing it now. It doesn't mind it so much. Yeah, that's just permanent to the fitting, yeah. So I mean, I could add a gear system down here. This can get a nipple over to a lure lock, or I could maybe thread that plastic to create a seal, or bore it out or heat it up and just fit it around that. And that would be like up here, and then the lure lock would go to that. That actually might work. And then I have a quick connect fitting, and then this stays stationary. So that would get a right angle, or an extension, because I mean, we're all the way up here, but this can be lowered. This whole thing can be lowered closer to the work So if the work's like here, we can keep that short, and then I can make a hex to like whatever pulley. And then this will be the spinny part. That'll eventually wear out, but I think it'd be better if it's not just shoving an O-ring into a tube like that. Because now, what do I grip here in order to twist it? Well, I could just have the syringe be its own handle. And so I twist this, and something holds on to this top part to maneuver it around and allows me to move it vertically, and then I twist it myself. Twist it yourself, you jerk. I would rather have like a little handle, though. I think that would be cute. So that's the idea behind the manual pick and place. I've made a little bit of progress, but we need to build the beginnings of whatever that arm is that comes out from here, because I'll need to figure out how I want to situate the anime titty mouse pad and the my arm. I'm familiar. My large printer has 7 rails on it, so I'm familiar with them. Nice. I suggest you make it also rotate for more comfort on your arm. Yeah, I mean, having the armrests do that, and then, but yeah, you don't want to have to rotate it yourself, because the parts will just sit. I mean, in a typical pick and place, you've got these like specialized part dispensers that hold the parts vertically, so you just come over and pick it up, and it's in the right orientation. But I'm taping the circuit board down. Right, I've just got a circuit board taped down any which way. So you want to be able to twist that thing to put it in place. I've seen some manual pick and place machines that have another handle that moves the syringe part. That's what I'm talking about. The one that was at the FBI Tech Center is this one. This thing. MPP21. It's like a $7,000 bespoke machine. And the pick and place head looked like this. And this handle twists, which also twists the needle. By the way, all the way at the bottom here, we have the schematic diagram in terms of pressure fittings that basically tells you how everything works. So the pickup line is a solenoid, and I don't know what this thing is. I don't know what that is. I think a needle valve, maybe? It's pressure line into filters. There is a pressure adjust for everything, and a gauge. So I fully intend on copying this. I don't think it's a variable solenoid. What is okay? Let's see if we can find this. Filter, motor, dryer, fixed restriction. That actually might be another solenoid. Solenoids are very confusing diagrams. I mean, that says fixed restriction, so what does that mean for with an arrow through it? I love it. You look up electrical schematic symbols and they're mostly unified. But when you get into pneumatic diagrams, things just get crazy. Sometimes you draw a picture of the thing. Sometimes you have a symbol that's kind of close. Usually you label stuff. Sometimes you got triangles. Arrow means adjustable. So that would be like a needle valve that you would adjust. But we don't know if it's electronic or not. Probably you adjust the needle that gives more air into the Venturi vent. And then I was wondering if I could, for the dispenser, see the dispenser is so much different. With the dispenser, you actually need to put vacuum into it afterwards, because if you hold that pressure there, it's going to keep advancing. And you can't just open it to regular vacuum. If you've ever used one of these syringes before, the most frustrating thing about them is that after you're done dispensing, I apologize to all of the Europeans and Brits that watch my show. I know there's a significant number of you out there, and I sit here going, you know the thing about aluminum? Like, I grew up talking like this. I'm from the Northeast. You're lucky I'm not Bostonian. So The most annoying thing when you dispense these things is that you put pressure on the plunger and it dispenses, and then when you let go, the static force of friction of the rubber against the syringe is enough to keep this thing weeping after you've it's like a little bit of like, it's got a little dribble. It's, you know, what you usually find in your underwear. But I've gone to the habit of pulling back on the plunger just a little bit, and then it stops it from weeping. And it turns out I'm doing exactly what these manual pick and place machines do. And unfortunately, the human body can't seem to manage. What the pick and place does is it shakes it violently and it gets that little extra dribble off of the tip. No, wait, no, it doesn't do that. No, it pulls back a little bit on the plunger. And it pulls back on the plunger using a second venturi. My thought was, why don't I put the solenoid valve on the output? No retraction G-code on the human body. It's the way muscles work. You need an opposing muscle. So how does your bladder have an opposing muscle on it? Would you be able to suck air in through your pee-pee? Hold on, let me get some of that water. Oh, now I have to pee. So, okay, these are little needle valves. I was wondering if instead of having, like, you would have pressure going into this, right? And then you would have a solenoid on the output of the, maybe that would restrict it too much. Like if I put a solenoid on the exhaust, which is here, and that would basically block this, pressure goes up through there into your syringe, and then you would open this, and this would just run and pull air back out. Why do I always get bladder infections? Sucks in soda through pee-pee. Wasn't there a Roman weirdo who had a boy that would get injected with wine and he would pee the wine into... I'm not, you know what? This is so family friendly today. Just a hedonistic, crazy... Can syringe with air injection be fatal? Oh, Chixie, I'm so glad you asked this question because yes, it absolutely can be fatal. The amount of air that makes it fatal is quite significant. It's actually quite significant. I have high iron levels in my blood. I know there's a streamer that makes that her theme. Her like VTuber is like blood themed because they have to do these, I don't know, bi-monthly, tri-monthly, like blood donation essentially to keep iron levels down. Jesus, water into wine. No, my example is a real thing. It's just, or debatably a real thing, but apparently I've heard of it because I've been on the internet too long. Anyway, so every couple months I have to give blood. And I actually have to talk to the doctor and see if they want me to do that in the next couple months. But that being said, ooh, these are nice screws. What are these doing here? I was getting that procedure done. I have very deep veins in my arm. We can see them on the thermal camera, but they're kind of hard to get into. And they seem to always give me the training nurses when they do this. It's just mean. So they'll try to get a line down below, and then they'll move up a little bit, and they'll move up a little bit. And usually they use a needle that can be purged with saline solution in order to do that. Recently, what they've been doing is getting what looks like a giant bottle of insulin. It's this big bottle with your typical rubber top, and it is just vacuum. It's a bottle of vacuum. And so that's to vacuum the blood out of the vacuum the syrupy, viscous blood out of my body so that I can remake the blood, but without so much iron. Modern bloodletting, modern leaching. It is torture. It's a terrible procedure. I am completely disassociated during the entire thing. I could bring my little handheld console thing, but I've gotten so good at disassociating normally that using the handheld console would make me concentrate on the pain of having every nurse on staff dig through my veins. So one day during this procedure, they were having trouble, and a bunch of different people looked at the setup, and the setup was needle in my arm into vacuum bottle on top of a scale. And so they decided to purge it, and in purging it, they did something wrong with the valves, and the vacuum bottle filled with normal pressure air. No more vacuum. Usually that should be fine, because you would be filling up a bag full of blood, and your natural blood pressure would be pumping that bag. But we're in a sealed container now. We're not in a flexible bag, in a sealed container. And so that volume of sealed air, I pressurized to my blood pressure. And they notice it drip, drip, drip. Oh, something's wrong. We better flush the line. So they take out the setup, and all of that pressurized to my blood pressure air came back shooting into my arm. And so the thing is, like with the bottle, it drips down and then there's air. And so that was like a check valve. So instead of getting bloodshot, my own bloodshot back into my body, I got air shot into my body. And I felt like a bup in my shoulder, probably of my veins going blah, 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 blah. I go white because I think I'm going to die. And everybody goes, ooh, that was bad. Funny thing, you'll be fine. Will I be fine, or am I going to die? Like, am I going to go to the ER right now? That's close by, right? Do you want to get a wheelchair over here? Apparently a certain amount of air isn't fine, but it's okay. Best place to get an embolism is at the hospital. Yeah, exactly. If you're injecting air, probably do it in the lobby of the hospital. Worst, it's terrible. I'm still kind of a little bit bruised. It gets stuck in your lungs. That's where the air goes. It goes to whatever the islets are in your lungs. And so I had kind of, it felt like when you jog in really cold temperatures for a while and it kind of hurts to take a deep breath. That's what it felt like. And then my lungs sorted it out. So it was a bit of air. It was bad. I asked about that last time I got an injection. The nurse said, don't panic. It needs a lot of air. You need like a big syringe of air. Like this would not be able to put enough air into your veins in order to kill you, but it can hurt. It'll hurt. Your lungs will catch it. Yeah, it's similar to the Benz, although it's not purely nitrogen. But yeah, the horror story. Did I get any compensation or anything for it? No, I got a free soda like they normally give me, although it's probably not free. No, it doesn't. No. Your lungs are all about dissipating gas, and apparently they're able to dissipate the gas properly. So that's just how it works, I guess. That's my knowledge of it anyway. I don't permanently have an air bubble in my system. Speaking of air bubbles in my system, we need to redesign my water-cooled computer. I've got it sitting up on a 2020 rail stand, and I need to turn the computer 90 degrees, and then I need to turn the cooling system into something that doesn't accumulate bubbles in the wrong spots, because that's what's been happening in my system. This pneumatic schematic, automatic. This is, oh, they have, well, they don't talk about the symbols that, anyway, this is for a manual pick and place machine. This is for this model. Oh, there's a picture right here. This model of manual pick and place, the CRT TV. This is showing off their little vision system. So you can have a little vision system on it. I've got some endoscope cams that we might be able to use for this. Yeah, well, I mean, come on, we're going to copy a working solution. Of course we are. So this has like a little character LCD display, and we may do something similar on that little control box that I have. I don't know if we can fit all the stuff that this thing will use inside of this, but this would be a perfect job for this little metal control box that I have, possibly using one of the vacuum fluorescent displays. And I can put a power plug in the back, possibly a little power supply in here, and then have vacuum fittings on the front, pressure gauge, LCD, controls for the LCD. It's a tight squeeze though. Not a lot of room for our equipment and our solenoids in there. I'd like to minimize the number of solenoids that it uses too, but what basically we need to do is, in order to dispense, we need to put pressure on the line, and then we need to put suction on the line, and then I control the timing with the microcontroller. Do you like more of mechanical engineering stuff or electronic stuff? I appreciate the electronic stuff a lot more. The mechanical stuff is fun to do when you want to turn your brain off. And with the manual pick and place, building circuit boards is going to be a nice like respite from doing all of the smart boy stuff. The last thing that you ever want to do is math on stream. You don't want to do math on stream. Don't do math on stream. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Anyway, so I want basically the machine that whose manual we're looking at, and it's, you know, $7,000. I'm not making the money that UO does. If I was, maybe I'd buy this because it would be worth my time. If I was making better money on Twitch, I'm not. So we need to build something that does this and doesn't have as crappy of an interface. It'll still be very microcontroller-y style interface, but I want basically the thing that holds onto your wrist, and then you've got an arm that comes out and around, and you sort of move that into position and it stays parallel with the board, with the base. Let Twitch release the vacuum. I would listen, with the number of viewers that I have, I would be sitting here waiting for that to go off. No, I think the better thing is if I make the eurorack module that has like Twitch control on it. I think that would be very funny. All right. Maybe it should elicit a fart when I release vacuum. I was thinking of using one of those touch buttons that I have on the top of it. So you'd basically put your finger on top, pick it up, and then move your finger and it would let go. That's for later. We'll leave the fingering to another night. For now, we need to design some kind of like an XY thing that holds up that gantry. And I don't know what we're going to do on the end of it yet. Can I 3D print something like that and have it feel right? I'm leaning towards no, but I would like to design something in Fusion today so that we can actually start messing with it. Oh, and then for the gantry, to hold it up, I was thinking maybe I could use one of these plates because I bought the damn thing. I want to use it. These thin aluminum plates would probably be good for just bolting up to that. I don't know if I can find like an image of this thing or a 3D model of this thing online, but putting that there would give me all these little mounting points where I can put that arm that reaches around. So let's take a look at some of the hardware that I have, and we'll jump into Fusion and start designing stuff. Because the whole end of the thing is fascinating to me. This piece right here, I'm like, there's got to be something that exists that's like this. But then again, I can just 3D print something. So that's probably what we'll end up doing. 2 skateboard bearings and a little handle, and I guess 2 turntables and a microphone. No, but I guess what I can do is put one of my like synthesizer knurled handles on it. So I could have this, and then like a button to press on top. And then I need like a little shaft on there. Gears, a chain. I'm thinking it's probably a rubber belt, like one of those circular belts like they have in VCRs. I used to have a lot of hardware for that kind of thing, and then I got rid of it saying I'll never do anything with all this stuff. But I still do have little pieces of like bearing hardware, and oh, this is a cool little gimbal too. Put an encoder and a servo on the end. Well, okay, so if we were to over-engineer this, what I would do is I would build a vertical axis here, a vertical axis that also twists, and then we'd have a camera on it, and then I've got, oh yeah, the light bulb went out. What is it? What is up with the LED light bulbs? Can I just do like my Seinfeld rant really quick? We had this beautiful technology that lasts tens of billions of hours. You get like 100,000 hours out of an LED, right? And then they managed to engineer that hundreds of thousands of hours into such a cheap housing that they break just from people walking over the floor above the shop. And these things go out in like a year. They shouldn't. They should almost never go out. I guess maybe the bespoke LED ones probably have better cooling. It's about tactile feel. Yeah, that's true. TPU 3D. If I really wanted to, I've got these little joystick modules that I could actually put into play, moving the thing around. So instead of having all of this stuff, we would have a belt on each of these axes, and then I would do like a 1:100 stepper motor for each one so that this could move very, very precisely. Actually, you know what? I don't think you need that. I think you could just use regular stepper motors on these and get really, really accurate movement. And so you'd be able to move the part into place, twist it with the joysticks, and then lower it down into position. But that's a lot. It's a lot. And then people want you to put cameras on it, and they want it to auto adjust and blah, 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 blah. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I think the LEDs are being run too hard. Yeah, versus the cooling. I think so too. In the light bulbs that I've seen go out, maybe we'll do a post-mortem on one. They go out from traces like burning up, which is kind of scary. All right, I have some TPU, but I have not gotten it tuned to my machine. I print in PETG, and I pretty much exclusively use that stuff. I really don't switch out from PETG because it's engineering plastic. I bought these gears. They're apparently made in Canada. They're for like displays. These are the ones, if you've been to the auto parts store in the past 32 years, These gears, basically they're inside of a little plexiglass container, and when you spin it, all the different gears are spinning, and the oil inside there gets picked up by all the gears, and you can see how much more viscous the oil that they want you to buy is versus the oil that they chose to show you. So it's like two little gear things, and you just spin the little gear thing. It's such a cool display. I love it. But anyway, I found out that you can just buy the little packs of these gears. I don't think we're going to use gears, though. Don't show Gonad this. Don't let Flatulent Gonad see this. This is a gear from the Tourbillon that I still haven't gone back to to actually get working. All kinds of weird stuff in here. What is... This is from something. Oh, there's like some cotton there too. Oh, it's from like I think the endoscope. Oh no, he saw. Everybody's Scarper. Run, get out of here. Save yourself. So I got a bunch of bearings and stuff that are left over from other builds, mostly 3D printed stuff that they wanted to use very special bearings on. I don't really want to use special bearings in here. It's not an antenna, no. It's got a little grabby end on it. I think it's for the endoscope camera so that you can poke at something with that little grabby end. And then I guess, so larger bearings probably would make it, yeah, these are pretty good. These are skateboard bearings. These are like a standard bearing. I think I want to use these. We'll see how many I have. I used to have tons of these, but sealed on both sides so you don't have to oil them. And they've got a decent hold. Now it looks like they're only got 2 of them. Maybe these aren't the skateboard ones. Maybe these are slightly smaller ones. Let's see. I got a whole tube of these things. And they're like available. So if anything happens to your bearing, if it starts to feel like terrible, then you can just buy another one. And then I also got shoulder bolts for mounting the bearings. These are not the right ones. What are these? These are cool. Yeah, the proper shoulder bolts you can throw through these and make a good mount with. Yeah, here's one of these. These are for printer belts. Actually, I think I also have a couple V-belts of these, but they're too big. I'd like to stay, but I have to go make burgers. No, enjoy burgers. Go make burgers. I appreciate you. Like my mom would say, it's got a hooker on the end. Oh boy, you gotta change that language a little bit. Maybe that's not it. That's not what you should say. Yeah, these shoulder bolts are really good for mounting bearings and stuff, but these are mostly for the burn the subs belts and stuff. Now we could use a belt to drive that thing, but I think it would be too big. Also, it doesn't fit around the syringe. But if we're using the quick connect to spin, we've got a certain size of hex that we need to deal with, and we could maybe have a bearing plug into that. I don't know, we're just exploring. I'm exploring before we start 3D modeling. And the stuff we're going to 3D model is the arms. So first I just want to get kind of the lay of things. So that doesn't work. I can't get a bearing into either of those. I don't know if I have a bearing that's going to fit around. I don't want to get anything specialized. I want it to be... Ow! I just got poked by the hooker. I don't think that's the solution. And then if we're using the common... Where did the syringe go? Here it is. Yeah, none of my hardware is quite the right size for this. All things considered, if I was manufacturing something like this, I would probably try to find an adapter of the lure lock to a much smaller tube. Which maybe I could find, actually. Hold on. This is sort of the pre-Fusion 360 stuff. And we're going to have to start like 1 or 2 new assemblies. And the way Fusion works now, it's assemblies and then you edit in place to make the individual parts. So lure lock adapter. Medical catalogs have things like, yeah, this $26 part has been staring me in the face for a while. I don't think I'm going to go with that because that's too expensive and the threads on the end are too big. What's the fluid that will be in this syringe? Air. The one that twists is going to be air, and then there's the syringe, or with the lure lock already installed, is the one for the dispenser. So like, the dispenser will have a thing that clips to the back of the syringe. It looks like these. Looks like this. And then all we need to do is adapt the air fitting to the cheaper and smaller airbrush thing. And then I can probably have fixed chains on here and going back to the control box. So on the end here, it would go to tubes, and then the tubes would plug into this thing. I could even have this here and then have tubes go up and over this. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. We're still kind of in the design phase here. And if I want this to be able to go as low as possible, then the chains will have to be up. But then this could be a good pickup area where you go over to it, pick up a part, deposit the part, pick up the part, deposit it, turn the page, wash my hands, turn the page, wash my hands. There are some lure syringes that are very long, but I'm wondering if, so my thought was the very long blunt tips could go into something like this, and then I'd have that really long blunt tip that I could put through the bearings. And I have some of these. That's lure to tube. And then lure to lure. Who is doing syringe that's like symmetrical docking, isn't that? What did I just say? I don't remember. Never mind. So like, I mean, we've messed with these quite a bit. Yeah, the lure lock is like really good way if you're moving fluids around on a small scale. You've got all kinds of options for adapters. What makes this a manual pick and place? It's because I'm manually picking and placing. Because I'm the one doing it. That really shouldn't be confusing. It's not motorized. There's no motors. Well, okay, so there's motors to create the air pressure, whatever. See, this, what size is that? 1/8 NPT. That's huge. Actually, 1/8 is not huge, and that's only $6, but it's ugly as hell. It's gross looking. I wish it wasn't gross looking. 1/8 NPT, is that what these are? Oh, a sec, I gotta look around for the thing. Is that 1/8? Let's check. You know, I used to have stuff that would help me identify this. My calipers are nowhere. Where are my calipers? Oh. I don't think that's 1/8. Hold on, let me... Didn't understand you'd be moving it by hand. Yeah, there's no belts, no motors. We are moving it by hand. It makes the design way easier. Hold on, I got to get around. I've got the whole entire simulator setup featured. And by featured, I mean in my damn way. And move myself over here. Get the mic cable out of the way. Move the simulator setup. It's on wheels. Chat, I need more space. What I need you to do, chat, I need you to go get 15 to 30 of your favorite people in the world and get them to watch my stream and contribute. And then I can get my own house and health insurance. And then when I have my own house and health insurance, we can become a home improvement show for a significant amount of time while I set up a new shop. And by house, I mean probably warehouse. Just get a warehouse. And make a little living area in the back of the warehouse. Kind of like that video game. Now, wait a minute. Is this on the right size? I don't want to have to order more of these things, but I think I will. Okay, let's get back over to the bench. This simulator setup's going to be awesome, but I still need to mount the motor. I still need to drill some extra holes for the wheels. NPT is huge. NPT sizes are nowhere near normal sizes, I see. We were going to measure some of this stuff, but let me just see if the syringe thing is the right size. I may need to print something that does the job of the syringe thing. Or a little clip that goes on the back, and I just use these fittings, because I've ordered 3 sets of 2 of these different sized syringe locks with pretty much no success in getting the right ones. problem with doing this is that I'm introducing a huge air bubble into this thing. Yeah, it's got like a huge air bubble now. Well, this is long expired solder paste, so there's really no need to worry about this. 1/8 NPT is like 0.4 inch, almost a 1/2 inch OD. Whoa, that's a little much. Yeah, this bullshit. God damn it. This is just barely too big. It's for a certain size of syringe, but they're not really good at telling you all the details. I need to get one size smaller, or I don't know, shave this one down because it doesn't fit into this thing. This is supposed to click in, and then I would suspend this at an angle to the head of the manual pick and place, and it would have its own foot pedal or some other kind of control so that you can hit the thing with a controlled amount of pressure, and then it pulls back on it a little bit to keep it from dribbling. And so that's what you would use. Is solder paste what we're dispensing? Yes, solder paste would be the primary. Solder paste is flux, so we wouldn't really use it as a flux dispenser. I don't know what you do about soldering. If you've got this setup, if you could put like an iron attachment on it in order to, I don't think you do that. Hot air, I guess I could use hot air around it. That's pushing it with plastic construction. So I may have to make it out of metal at some point. We might have to do a little cut sending, if at all possible. And then, from my understanding, the one that we used at the bureau at the FBI, we had like a little thing that went inside of this that advanced and retracted. It wasn't just the rubber thing, but from the website that sells the stuff for this pick and place. Where are we looking? Like, I don't think they mentioned that with the dispenser stuff. Let's find it. 110 volt. Oh, there's a little plug on the back. And then a push-on air connect. Audible. 1 amp fuse. Oh, jeez. And then the foot switch input. Yeah, we're copying this design. That's just what we're doing. I have to use AutoCAD a little bit, so we'll have to we'll have to get that running too. That's the camera. They don't mention the dispenser anywhere. Hold on a sec. I wonder if there's a dispenser manual. Okay, let's check PCBunlimited.com. As much as I would like to buy their pick and place, it's like $7,000, so. Pick and place. They've got cool stuff though. I mean, their reflow oven is really cool. Oh, these are auto things. Yeah, here's the. It's like in the busted back room of all of their wonderful automated pick and place stuff is the manual pick and place. It's in the corner. It's got a layer of dust on it. Benchtop automated. Nobody is interested in the $4,500 manual pick and place. I am. Let's see. Customers who bought this item also bought all this stuff I can't afford. All I can afford is particle board. Where is the dispenser? Oh, show more. Okay. There we go. So there's the dispenser kit. It's very simple. But is there like an insert that goes into the tube? I guess not. I thought there was like an additional push piece that went in. Neodin PNPs. What the hell is that? I'm gonna make me. This is dangerous. Oh, pick and place. No, I have not. Let's take a look. It's very dangerous to have somebody say, "Hey, Google this thing." Sure, symmetrical docking. Enter. That's not space station equipment. Add to cart. Cool, let's check out. Ain't no way. Nah, listen, I'm not an expert in picking and placing. I can pick my nose, and that's about as far as we go. This is a $13,000 pick and place machine that does your homework for you, and that's great. I'm not doing this. Send them a sample request. They basically would send something out on my dollar and then have it shipped back to them. No, listen, these are great. I'm sure they're great. I'm confident that they would do my homework for me, but I have absolutely no need for something this expensive and featureful. I build a PCB every now and then when I feel like it. So that's a $200 bracket. You could probably buy something that does this. They have a small desktop one. Did I miss it? For only... I mean, the one on my cart looks like it's desktop, but that's $40,000. 40,000. 40. The cheapest one is this $13,000. There. That's the cheapest one. It's the same cost as the manual pick and place if you bought it new. That's why we're building one. This is why we're building one, because it's well within our capabilities to build a little... We are capable of sucking hard enough to pick up surface mount devices, right? As cool as a featureful super-de-duper... Mute. Do-do-do-do, dun, dun, dun. Just imagine corpo music in your head. I want to see it moving. There it goes. Look at that. Cool. So yeah, little cameras. Figure out where the stuff is. Pick it up. Oh, it uses its little arms to advance the thing? Oh no, it has a little... Okay, it has a third little manipulator that it uses. Where's the solder? And then they always have these little eyes with a bunch of LEDs around them. There's a camera that's facing straight up that it sort of holds the part over the camera, and the camera goes, okay, you need to be here. And then it twists into the location, yeah, and then moves out and deposits the component. $5,000. Only $5,000, and you could be doing this too. Yeah, I'm gonna have a big bellows it's gonna look like it's basically Immortum Joe headgear, and I sort of breathe into a sack of air, and I go, "Do not become addicted to pick and place." Do not be afraid, mortal. All right, that's enough of that. So, yeah, that's far beyond my ability to procure equipment. It would be the most expensive. It would cost more than my car. So no, I'm not going to be getting anybody's specialty pick and place hardware. It's good to know that a featureful and professional and super duper nice pick and place can be bought for the same price as the manual one that is also from 1995. But we're going to be building our own. What's the LD50 on inhaled silicon electronics? I don't know, but I'm not using my mouth to do this. We have little Venturi things that'll produce suction. But okay, so the lure lock here looks about the same size as the threads behind it. And I just want to see if that's the same size as my fittings, because if we get that $6 adapter, basically what I could do is do an 1/8 to an 1/8 here, and then have the lure lock sitting on this end, and then use the hex in order to spin this. So this, we would 3D print something that it barely fits into so that it makes a press fit, and then we can put a right angle adapter on the back of it. And so that would become our twisty system. It's a little tall for what it is, but that would be pretty good. So, and then the hex, of course, we've got a good thing to, like, you know, print and put a little belt drive on, and then we'll belt that out, and then it'll make a hard to turn, a little bit of resistance on that, but you shouldn't need to turn. Like, having it difficult to turn is probably a good thing. I know it does. The more you think about it, the more it seems like it is a bit, actually a really good price. But okay, I went specifically to go get my calipers, and then I forgot what I was doing. Listen, don't worry, we'll get to AutoCAD. We will get to AutoCAD. We're just doing a little bit of well, we're inventing. Like this is where the rubber meets the road, man. 9.5 millimeters. What is that in 0.37? Is that's an eighth, isn't it? I don't like working in English units. Shut up, AI. Nobody cares. Bonk. Yeah, the fact that it's NPT is very annoying. NPT was not a great idea, but it's designed to kind of like wedge in on itself, and that's supposed to make a seal, but it really, what it equates to is you still need sealing tape on it, and if you wrench it down a whole lot, it becomes more structural than anything else. So yeah, an eighth of an inch. What is the fraction on that? I can't do math. This is, oh my God, you're killing me. I looked up metric and it said nothing. Jerks, I just want to know what the metric equivalent. 3/4. 1/8 is 0.405. OD. We got 0.3, so is this an eighth inch NPT? I don't know. You know what? Go in my order history. What did I order? What did I order? Hold on. I have the ability to look through these orders. You guys aren't allowed to see them. 14-piece adapter set. Hose quick connect. This is 15 bucks, little man, and it came with all this cool stuff. But I had no frame of reference for the size of these things, and they looked like the fittings that I had. They're pretty common for like airbrushes and stuff. So this is an eighth. An eighth to a quarter. Oh, so that one is a quarter. No, an eighth to an eighth is the straight up fitting. Okay, so yeah, 1/8. Okay, so that is that size. So then I would need a 1/8 like nipple. I'd need like a 3.175 millimeter. Wait, 0.369 inch or 9.3 millimeter. Because this is an eighth NPT. NPT is crazy. Like people were saying earlier, NPT is much different. So yeah, this is a 0.938 is apparently 1/8 NPT fitting. Okay, all right. So these are an eighth, and so the fitting that I was looking at, the $6 piece of plastic that's molded just right, is exactly what we'd need. And then I would need some way to attach one to the other. Pack of one or pack of two? How confident are we in this thing actually sealing? Boy, yeah, this on a lure lock thing. What are people using these for? Oh, what's that one? 1/4 by 28 would give us a little bit more room to fit the thing to the thing. 1/4 by 28. Ooh, that's a big thread. Hold on. 1/4 by 28. What do I have? I don't think any of these are 1/4. That's a 1/4 inch. It's a different setup. 1/8 BSP. A 1/4 BSP would be the preferred. That's a really tiny one, but I mean, it's not like, but that's not the right thing. This is $8. Jesus. Not quite. Any other highlights here? Come on. Show me the thing I'm looking for. That one looks cool. $12. It does look cool though. It's got a little grippy on it. BSP, this may not end well. No, we're not going down that road. We're not going down that road. I probably would have gone down that road, but we're not. Oh, looks like the dog's back from the groomers. Looking fly with a new haircut. Brass 1/8 to 1/8. I don't like that it's brass. Probably look for a stainless one. I hate BSP personally. I don't think I've messed with it, but yeah, this is I could go with it if I want, but I don't think I will. 1/8 there. That's that one. This is $30. That one's $30. Kidding me? And then a polypropylene is $7. So the $6 one that we're looking at is probably for the best. So that'll probably have to order. And then I'm going to need a stainless 1/8 to 1/8 NPT. One of these little guys. $8? Are you kidding me? I'm going to have to sell the farm. Now, well, the elbow's not strictly necessary. We discovered that we can't really see down the camera. I get it rounded, or do I get it with a little hex thingy in the middle? Probably a little hex thingy in the middle. Spending a whole $8 on two of them, huh? The reputable brand Boudin. So that will basically be the twisty end of things. It'll be the lure lock adapter into a nipple into this fitting, and then that spins. That whole end spins. So that's actually going to be kind of long, which is fine, but this will fit into the 3D print, and then we'll get like a pipe connector on the end of that. And that'll be like tube into 1/8 of an inch, and then this has a little rubber seal on the bottom of it. So then this will be the fixed area, and then this part can twist. Can it? No, it's actually pretty stable. So that should be pretty good. Yeah, it'll basically be like here. So this is fixed. This is the non-rotating end. And then this gets some kind of like a pulley drive on it. And it may not need a bearing if it's soft enough. I don't know if it'll totally cam out. I could maybe put a bearing on it and then the pulley, but I need something big. What the hell is that? Oh, that's the end of the spring. That springs down on this thing. But yeah, I'm just using the quick connect as a coupling. So I guess it'll be fixed mount and then bearing mount. And then inside of that will be the rubber thing. Now, you know what? It might actually have to be a timing belt because of the amount of torque that I need to put into this. I don't think I'm going to be accomplishing that with a round rubber O-ring belt. So I'm going to need like big bearings on that thing, huh? Or little bearings with a lot of room on the outside. Where did the thing that I was just, there it is. And none of mine go up to the size. See, that's why I was like the allure of having smaller hardware, but I guess this is just the way we're going to do. Female to female is often referred to as a coupling. I see, okay. That works a little better. Yeah, we've been trying to get away from gendered language, especially in electronics. And so you have your master and your slaves, and it's like, maybe we shouldn't be referring to them like that. So around here, what we've decided on is instead of master and slave, we use dom and sub. And I think that's a good substitution for that sort of thing. And then with male and female, that's hard to get around. It's just the pokey bit and the bit that accepts it. Who knows? Anyway. All right, back to doing some stuff in Fusion. Head of household versus dependent. I don't know. That's a little weird too. So I need to get some of these parts. So let me check GrabCAD, which is an additive manufacturing webpage. The thing is, they bought the original GrabCAD. So aside from their front end, which is all manufacturing stuff, we go over here to community, library, and they've got this incredibly comprehensive library of parts, and a lot of them are in the correct format for us to use. So now if I look up 1/8 NPT coupling, I find nothing. Now we could also just go on McMaster Car and get a part from them too. That's another way, because they want to sell their parts, so they, you know, have them for you to put into CAD. This dude is all about pipe fittings. Incredible work. Oh, not the right ones though. You stopped short. You were doing so well. Oh. What we could have had, you and I. You with all of these pipe fittings, me with the need to put pipe fittings into a thing, into a stupid drawing. An assembly, sorry, I should use the correct language here. Somebody's got to have it. Yeah, I know the dimensions are going to be a little bit different, but I just wanted to see if I could easily find the part and not have to design it myself or create a reference to it, because if I can have somebody else's more detailed model, it looks cooler. McMaster will absolutely 100% have it, but I don't know what the quality of the model is going to be. It would be nice if I could get all the little frills on it and stuff. And then eventually when I have part in hand, I could just make the reference model a little better, but come on, there's got to be something. Yeah, everybody's got, nobody's doing what we're doing. The McMaster models can tend to be a little bit much. Let's see. Pipes. Give me 1/8. That'll get, oh, fitting type. Nut! Let's see. Rotating joint. We could actually find a rotating joint on McMaster, and I'm sure the price is going to be shocking. Let's see. Oh, they're huge. And they're only $255. Look at this. $400. $255. I can't even see that one because of this thing. Don't even know. We don't want to know. Yeah, McMaster's won a lot of awards for their design on their site. Their site is very, very good. And a lot of the stuff that they have, I mean, the cat's out of the bag with the whole 3D CAD model thing. So you can find the CAD models for everybody. That's the lunch budget of most firms. Yeah, and most firms can get super ultra rush shipping. Listen, we're not there. That's not us. It's not us. We can't do it. That's why we have to invent our coupling. All right, so never mind. And then we're doing an adapter, and then it's going to be NPT, and it's going to be stainless. And you just really, okay. Coupler, straight adapter. Not this month. Not this month. Damn it, where is it? Butt weld. Don't mind if I do. Can I, wait. So that I just defined the gender, but what's the other side? Connects to pipe. No, not what I'm looking for. Do they not have that, or is it under a different category? Or maybe they don't have it in stainless. It could be anything. All right, so the material doesn't matter that much. Straight. And then we're looking female to female. Where the hell? Male to male. More male to male. What the heck? You know, sometimes McMaster is a curse. Does it not count as an adapter? Is it like something else? There's one. That's a little weird looking. What about the 3D CAD model? What do you mean? I don't think there's one on the Amazon listing, if that's what you mean. That's going to be a tough one. That would be nice. I mean, I can just order this stuff, and when it gets here in the mail, we can measure and figure it out. What the hell did this person do? One of the fittings had shavings and thread fouling packed in the fitting. Oh, geez. Oh, the cat's out of the bag with CAD models. Like, McMaster has CAD models for everything, and if you're trying to find something at McMaster, that you could just 3D print it. It's kind of amazing. Like, if you need certain pipe fittings and you want to make sure that the assembly works, you can just get the CAD model and print the CAD model. And it's sort of a cat's out of the bag scenario because you can't uninvent the 3D printer. I think they're trying to in New York, but they're not going to have great luck with that. All of my conservative-brained friends are freaking out about this. And I'm like, bitch, you don't even live in New York. Like, like, you can't make it illegal to have a pencil or to have pencil technology. That's a butt weld. That's not what we're looking for. I don't know. This is taking as much time as GrabCAD was. Nope, that was the wrong window. Where did GrabCAD go? Oh, we replaced it with DigiKey, didn't we? Okay, so instead of doing this modeling, let's start modeling the arm, so we can actually get something down on the page. And I can see if if the 3D printed PETG is rigid enough for me to have sort of a dangling arm coming off of it. Okay, there it is. No. Oh my God, my dog's freaking out about something out there. New York's regulations are super stupid, though. Yeah, they expected to check against like a model of like firearms and drugs and all kinds of other stuff, and they just write this into the legislation and send it away. Like, what are they? What? It's kind of they're trying to overreach and legislate emergent technology by requiring more technology that also doesn't exist. Yeah, 3D printed cocaine, yeah. 45-degree hydraulic fitting. Nope. I mean, we even found a lure lock, lure to barb, but that's funny that we wouldn't be able to find it. It's just a matter of search terms. I'm going to get away from that and let's go back to here. One of the things that I learned recently about the way Fusion 360 has changed their operation is that they have decided that you need to organize things in assemblies and parts. What I mean is that you have separate files. Let's go back to the directory for this one. Where are we? We are currently in the stream projects. I need to clean up these folders. This is a mess. Stream projects, and we're doing pick place. Oh no, I put pick place back in admin. Should be in stream projects. Pick place. I didn't expect to work on this with you guys. So they've reorganized the way that things are structured. What we've got here is my design for a manual pick and place. This is just the beginning. It's just me kind of getting used to hardware and putting stuff together. This is going to evolve from here. Obviously, this flat cart could be replaced with a piece of metal, or I could make sort of bolts that go through this and go to that. What lure lock file were you looking for? You used to have some models. Oh, I'm not. I mean, if you've got something like this, I could use it. Something like this. I could probably use that 3D model, although it's not really totally required. I think we can just throw in some stuff that's equivalent. I'm going to have to buy some special bearings that will allow for that 1/8 NPT pipe to go through it. You have half of that? I guess I could use it. If you want to share, if you're in the Discord, that's the easiest way to get files to me, unless you have a link. You have the lure lock part, not the threads. I think I could probably just find one. I haven't looked yet, but if I do, like, I think I can just find, there's a billion people working with this stuff, especially in microfluidics. Yeah, it looks like I could just find lure lock everything. That right there I could cannibalize. 3D printable bioreactor. So this is what I'm talking about, checking your 3D models against things. But like, what do manufacturers do? What if I'm making a gun keychain? Or if I do like an embossed gun? You do microfluidics? I was going to get into some of that stuff for one of my consultant things. Yeah, microfluidics are fascinating. It's sort of a new thing. They're not really that new anymore, but it was new when I was new. Back when I was new. So yeah, I'm sure I can find, there's 1,001 lure lock models. I'm just thinking ahead. Right now we need to do the arm. We need to do the little suspended arm. See, yeah, you guys are like, oh, I'm gonna watch this smart channel. I do all this microfluidic stuff, and I'm like, today we're gonna be copying this ancient manual pick and place because I can't afford it. Like, we're not doing anything crazy scientific here. I'm literally just making something that floats over the workplace, over the work site. And I'm not sure if I need to think about getting some box sections of aluminum and making it out of you know, strong stuff. I forgot. What are you making? I literally just I just said we're making a manual pick and place because I've got a lot of extra 3D printer parts from bad orders. Do you have a lot of PCBs to make? Not now, but I'm always building. Not CNC. No. There is no computer numeric control here other than my brain. So a manual pick and place is an armrest. We're essentially just making an armrest that I can move back and forth in order to stabilize myself, because the last time I tried to solder that ESP thing, I was straining my muscles, and then I would go with the tweezers. So this is designed, and it, you know, hey, I might even make it like a left-hand model. But this is designed so that when you're building a ton of PCBs manually, you can go over, pick up the part, and place it. Now, for me, that's not really going to happen unless I make a kit. But I can raise and lower this thing. We can populate circuit boards with it. And then I can show the solder flowing over on the circuit board. That's really the goal, is that last bit, is getting it so that we can show that solder reflow over the whole PCB. But this is a quick and dirty project. This actually might become the spring for floating the Z axis. Although the problem is, if we've got a couple Heim joints, this will go like yoink. Yeah, so maybe that's not good. I'll have to figure that one out later. Extra 3D printer parts is a problem that I would like to have so bad. The problem with that is that it was, you know, coming out of my budget. So my tax season was very fun the year that we upgraded the 3D printer to Rails. And then if something goes wrong with that, I'm then going to have to make something out of metal because I won't have an extra cart for the printer. But anyway, so the point is, the linear rails, you don't need to use linear rails. You can use those other types of rails just as long as it's smooth. Rollers, I don't know. I've had so many rollers go bad, but the Delrin rollers might be quiet and smooth. These actually might be the better option if I put Delrin rollers on this, then it would be quiet and smooth. And but I have the linear rails, so I'm going to use them. I have the linear rails, I got the models, I got all that stuff. But the question is, like, I mean, I can put this thing on here, I can bolt this down, and then 3D print the arm pieces, because I don't really have a bearing arm. What's that? Bamboo sucks and I don't want to support them, but they're such a good quality, and A1 and BCMU is so good. Well, you know, I've had a mutant printer for perpetuity. I've always had a mutant printer, and I don't know, there's something to be said for going over to mutants. They're pretty cool. I wonder if I haven't checked my YouTube email in a while. Let me I just want to see what kind of stuff there is in there. We're getting distracted. I'm sorry. We'll get to AutoCAD in just a minute here. With manual movement, I guess the rollers would be fine. That's what I'm wondering too. But the pressure on the side of the roller from your arm's weight would probably wear them down. But then again, it's not doing those little movements that 3D printers do. So maybe it wouldn't roll the Delrin as fast. I don't know. Because the Delrin eventually wears out and then things get kind of weird. What about the tagline? Let's see, what was the stream settings? It was manual pick and place machine. Need to design a bearing arm. This is a pretty simple title. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can check. YouTube, send feedback, switch account, my channel. How do I get to my email that's associated with that? Or is there one? Hold on, just gonna quickly look at this. Google account, my data in YouTube, keyboard shortcuts, studio, purchase and memberships. Go to the Google account. Well, that's just the Google account. Oh, here we go. And then I can go to Gmail. I've probably got all kinds of like spam. Nope. Updates to our partner ad security alert. A new sign-in. Video, it was blocked in some territories, but that's old. So security alert, auto dubbing will soon be enabled on your channel. Oh, okay. Updates to our partner ads setting control. Okay, so nothing relevant in the email. Good. All right, that's not one that I list. I have a different email for my work email. You put it in stream projects? Cool. Okay, well, we'll pull that in a minute. I'll take a look at that and then, you know, tell you that this is the worst design I've ever seen. No, it's probably awesome. Yeah, so anyway, this is the idea. We need to make something like this. And so they've got a sprung Z-axis that you have control over, and then you can twist in order to twist the end there. And so you've got your fixed tube mount, and then the assembly somehow has to twist back and forth. And I think that's just going to be this long series of fittings. I may have that exposed to the outside because we'll have the lure lock on the end of this. So it'll be NPT to NPT. I wish I could go smaller with it, but I think the fittings are too specialized. Like if I could go for this coupling with a smaller fitting on this end, because this is a lot. I mean, that's a lot. But it'll have this giant coupling over top, and then at the end, there'll be a lure lock fitting. You know, instead of ordering all this stuff, I'm wondering if I can just take a heat gun to this end, just cut this here, and then just freaking squish the thing on. I think that's maybe where we go with this. I think I want to do that instead. I don't want to order all this hardware and design all this stuff. I'm just going to squish this bastard on and then find a bearing that's this size so that I can capture the bearing in place. That'll still be pretty wide, but then we get our lure lock, which is I can replace if anything goes wrong. It's not a metal lure lock, and that'll just be squished onto the end here. And then on this hex, we will add some kind of a probably pulley belt because I need a lot of torque on it. Sounds like a very practical idea, yeah. 3D modeling this is going to be a bastard. Okay, hold on. Let me go get some of my timing belt stuff and see if we have anything that's shockingly compatible. I'm going to take a look. You know, I said this is an AutoCAD ad, and I guess I'll go over some of the improvements that AutoCAD has made to their little workflow, but we get distracted pretty easily on this stream, unfortunately. That's 4 points of contact, right? I have so many rollers, and I don't have anything to do with the rollers. What am I going to do with all these rollers? So much Delrin screamed out and then was suddenly silenced. All this Delrin. Look, I've got belt rollers. Distractions. Hey, you distracted me pretty heavily with that just now. Be careful. Yeah, it's just how these things go, you know? You start coming up with solutions, and then I had a bunch of different sizes, and I may have put them to other containers. The what was I doing counter? Who would maintain that? Because I'd forget about it. I would forget about the counter. Yeah, so this isn't big enough for the things that I would use. That's what I'm talking about with the 1/8 NPT adapter, is that like everything I've got that supports this like tech is not large enough for that. And maybe if we get a tube in there, hold on, we're trying stuff out. I'm learning to let go of CAD, and unfortunately that means the distractions are piling. Tubes, I've got some tubes in here. Let's see, what tubes do we have? Oh, okay. That one's too big. Too big. I guess I think I moved all the tubes. What, I keep gripping one and then losing it. Losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. What's this stuff? Tie it into captioning in Node-RED. I've got a little tutorial for getting YouTube chat into Node-RED. I have to like npm install something, and then I think I'm going to be able to get YouTube into a node for Node-RED. That'll be pretty good. That's the exact size. Yeah. So if it's on this tube, because I could lock it down to that, and then that almost fits in there. So if I linish this back a little bit, actually I think it will. Ooh, wait a minute. Yes, hold on. What the deuce? Okay, hold on, wait. Jeez, come on. There's like a little burr from the cutting tool. It's all coming together, boys. Oh, that hurts. Deburr, B-U-R-R. Ah, it got stuck. Shit. Hold on. Jeez. That is an exact fit, but that means that I've got bearings. If you know the dir of the nerd rhyme, check over the, and then how to, look at that. Look at that, boys. So there's our belt fitting onto that. And then we stabilize it with the bearings. and then I somehow probably probably heat it up and then pinch it so that it goes to the lure lock, so that we have 2 bearings and a lure fitting that spin when we move the belt. And this is more rigid. Now, if I got like a solder fitting on the end or something, or a compression fitting, that would be nice, but I think maybe I need to just somehow get that to go to that. And I could braze it, that would melt all the rubber in it, or I could just shrink wrap over that. But if I shrink wrap over that, I don't know if it'll be able to overcome the torque. So I don't have an 1/8 NPT to compression tube. That's going to be like a big fitting. That's going to be a big weird fitting. Yeah, the bother distraction counter would be eating good today. So that's a little weird. These fit, I think. I mean, it's hard to get around that thing. Let me get my big file in here and we'll linish it back a little bit so that I can actually get the stuff on this tube. Heat shrink and epoxy, I don't know. Usually have some kind of compression fitting on it. Sorry about the noise. Anybody with sensitive teeth. Hide your teeth. Hide your teeth. Bother streaming. It's a little softer. Let's get this one too. What are you doing, Poopsie Doodle? A 350 watch streak. It's 350 channel points, but whatever. Robot's stream was like, you have a 250 watch streak. And I'm like, I need to miss a stream. I need to not watch a stream. I gotta go on vacation. No, that's what I'm saying. I know. That's what I've said. That's why I said that. That's why I said, I don't think heat shrink tubing is going to be good enough. This thing is fighting me. This is like just the dimension of the bearing, which I guess is good, but fitting it on there is going to be kind of difficult. Yeah, that's not easy. I do have a miniature bearing puller, but I don't think that'll... Ugh. So, I mean, at least we know it'll couple to the stainless. And that's pretty smooth. Pretty smooth. The only thing that it lacks is the ability to attach to here properly, unless I do something in the tube. It's not... That's going to be... That's close to the diameter. I could put an O-ring on that and maybe it'll still hold a vacuum. Super thick heat shrink with a glue inside? Maybe. I don't think that would... I mean, I could also just make something out of plastic and put a lot of Teflon on it, but that, no, then it wouldn't grip this. See, the thing that we're fighting here is that when you twist this, there's a lot of torque. And so to get over that extra torque that I would need, because this is like a sprung fitting, to get over that extra torque, I could use timing belt stuff, and then you would be able to, that might be, you know, it might be just that's just a bad idea. This might be under the category of, hey man, that's a bad idea. If we keep it all, hold on. Ouch, man, what the fuck? This is like stuck. I mean, it's very smooth, but it's stuck. I'll get that unstuck later. Have to put it in the freezer or something. Yeah, so the belt stuff aside, all kinds of little weird items. That's one way to get a tube from place to place. We don't really need that big of a tube, too. Where am I putting this? Any open up-facing surface is like subject to... So the simpler method would be to do just something really kind of loosey-goosey with this. Just put an O-ring on that barely fits. Put that up like that, and then have just like a rubber O-ring that goes to the outside of this. And then when you spin the handle, it'll have just a little, you know, just a little like V-belt piece on it, like a Lego set piece, that would then twist this as well. And so if I cut this short and put it on that, and then this is fixed, that's it. That's your whole setup without all the complication of all this other stuff. A lathe and some bar stock. No, it's too much. We're good inventing stuff this way. We've been doing pretty good. We've been doing pretty good. All right, let's make the Steam logo, but with bearings. I'll stop getting distracted about the coupling because that's going to be an important part. We'll have to run some tests. So maybe Thursday, what we'll do is we'll hook one of these Venturi vents up to my airline, and we'll test what kind of vacuum. I don't have O-rings though. I don't know where I'd find an O-ring for this, but we'd want to make some kind of like a needle valve setup to control this. It would be nice if the needle valve was on the panel and you could adjust it here. So I'll probably, once we do the testing, because we'll see if it's viable, and then we'll see if it can lift parts up and do all that stuff. Because then we can move into the territory of actually designing what that. I keep trying to call it the hot end, but it's not the hot end because it doesn't get hot. It's a vacuum pickup. So yeah, it's a very low vacuum. It's enough to pick up a surface mount part. Like, that's not a lot. This coupling is even too large for it. I just liked how this fit exactly into the BD syringes that I have a lot of. I've got a whole bin full of these. We use these to do like glue jobs and stuff. So that would go there. I would like to eventually get an adapter for the dispenser for one of these, because like apparently if you have to glue a lot of stuff, like having an air powered dispenser is good. But we need to hook up like a solenoid valve and see whether or not we can get this thing to pick up surface mount stuff. Should be pretty easy, but yeah, it has to hold back turning, a little bit of vacuum. It has to turn loosely, like smoothly and evenly, so that it doesn't like throw the part around. But I think if we just do this, we'll be fine, because that'll just be just one O-ring there, and I think that's all we need. And if I want to, I could extend this out a little bit and put like a thing in there so that it shows that it's running a vacuum. Put a ball in there, 3D print a ball. I think that's the best implementation of this. And then we can move it with just like an O-ring belt. I threw out all that O-ring belt stuff that I had. I had a bunch of like Lego parts, Lego and otherwise parts that were for O-ring belts. Apparently they use it in like Technics a lot. Let's see, do I have anything that does that? No. Herc, get in here. Here's more of those gears. I mean, we could make it use gears, but I don't think that's going to be very good. I could also call that company and say, hey guys, I'm sort of stealing your design. There's not really anything you can do about it, but it would be cool if you could send me that mechanism. It looks like they make it themselves, right? That they machine those parts themselves. We can't hold a candle to that. I wonder how much they would sell just the end effector for. That's probably pretty expensive. It's probably out of my budget. Okay, so none of that stuff looks like it's useful. I'm just looking through some of these bins of miscellany that I keep down here. If you look online, a lot of these pick-and places that people buy, they're using stuff like the $9 Venturi vent, and they're also using a syringe, but what they'll do is they'll take the plunger out, and then they'll take the rubber from the plunger and just put a tube in it. And then you've got this little handle that you can then use as your pick and place. You can also buy lure lock fittings that have a 45-degree bend in them, specifically for pick and place. Anyway, Venturi vacuums waste a lot of energy. If you're going to run this over time, a cheap vacuum pump or even a little DC peristaltic pump will give you a lot, will save you in a lot of electricity. I don't know, what? No, it's not, no. And I'm not going to run this thing a lot. This is for like 1 or 2 jobs a year. It is a kind of a necessity, though, in being able to quickly produce a circuit board neatly. They're great if you've got a batch job to do, but wasting energy on the vacuum is not that big of a deal, man. People have used these Venturi things quite a bit, and we're not running it at like full bore. No, I don't think having a little I used to have little vacuum pumps. I had them all from a couple Keurigs that I took apart. They've got a lot of like air pumps and stuff in them. Anyway, what we're doing right now is we are going to create the valve logo. I basically need to make an arm that comes out from probably something in front of this. Old dead refrigerators are good for vacuum pumps and compressors for cheap. I don't know. The miniature compressor market has tempted me to do things. The miniature compressors have gotten much, much cheaper. What in the fuck is... Let's go ahead and just lower that down. Cool. Thank you, AliExpress. I really appreciate you advertising questionable fucking shit. Good God, what the fuck was that stuff? An electric pipette has a mechanism to create suction. Those little handheld electric ones, yeah, they've got little like pumps in them, or there's a big spring thing. Well, miniature compressor. Nope. The market's been kind of befuddled by other things that are called that. Yeah, like 120, 80 bucks for a little thing with like a 3-phase motor at the top of it that you'd have to plumb it into a proper cooling system. But I mean, 80 bucks, like these used to be like 600. Pretty cool that you can get something like that, because this is like you would have proper refrigeration in like a computer. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, okay, back to what we were doing, because we keep getting distracted. I need a couple bearings, and I probably want to get the bearings that I already have. I want to see how rigid we can make something like this, and I guess if we're trying for rigidity, size is probably to our advantage. So this size of bearing is probably good. I believe these are skateboard bearings, so they're very common. They're the kind of bearing that is in my my floor fan. It's the only moving part in the whole thing. The spindle of the motor and the bearings are the only thing that's moving. ABEC, ABEC is a 9. What does this side say? Oh, 608 RS. Although this is it's an X bearing, right? Because it's got the shield on it. Let's try 608 RS in GrabCAD and see if we can find a decent model of that bearing. A decent model of the bearing that I would like to use in order to make a test fixture that will do the same motion as this arm here. So, oh, that looks like the one that I was going to buy. Wait a minute, hold on. Sorta. Yeah, this would have been a good one to model in. Huh. Okay, we're getting distracted. 608 RS. Wow, there's a slash in there. Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah, the 608 RS is the skate wheel bearing, which makes it extremely common. Ooh, filament bearing roller. Squirrel. Willow has been getting distracted by squirrels a lot on our walks lately. I have a roller bearing from a conveyor belt that I kind of want to mod into my 3D printer filament holder. It would be a little heavy, but it would actually be really smooth. Why did I close that? Yeah, 608 is a skateboard bearing. We found exactly the one that I have, so let's get that model. Yeah, the really nice ceramic ones. They're very expensive, and I don't know how they would hold up over time. Look at that beautiful model. All right, download the file. I love using skateboard bearings and stuff because they're so common. And then, guys, what is my password again? Is it Hunter2? Preparing files for download. Would you like this box? No, GrabCAD. No, I'm good. I don't need the 12 models. Oh, these are the models that this particular maker makes. Oh, cool. They made a nice extrusion rail. All right, open the folder. Some people have gone across the US twice on one set of bearings. Damn. Yeah, these are the bearings that my floor fan uses. And if the floor fan ever fails, all I need to do is get a bearing puller and pull the old ones out and put some new ones in, and it's good as new because everything else is just solid. I had to replace all the bolts with nylock bolts, nuts rather, the ones that hold on the cage for the fan. And then I tried to balance the blade, but I don't think I did such a great job. It kind of wobbles a little bit. All right, so which one do we want? Render, F3D, Object, Step, and STL. Step, I think, is a good one. OBJ, I'm not sure. I think we want the step file. So what I can do is go to this folder and I can click upload. And then like a boomer, I'm going to drag and drop it in because I don't know where this folder, the downloads folder is somewhere. I just don't want to convolute. So upload that, and that's going to put that on my personal cloud of files. What are the 506? Yeah, maybe that might have been it. I think that did it. Remember Bug Me Not? Remember Bug Me Not? The heyday of that website was amazing. Because you could just go in there and get a password for some newspaper and they wouldn't bug you anymore. I wonder if that site's still going. This is a very small file. I guess my priority to AutoCAD is very low. So it takes a little bit of time for us to put a file in here. F3D is the native Fusion file type. I think that's what I dragged in. That way we get all the appearance settings. Fusion has a system where you set appearance settings on your object in order to make things look like they are real things, which I really appreciate because I know that the model is just a representation and it does not need to be graphically incredibly accurate, but I like the flair of, I need to work. I like the flair of having things actually look like the object that I'm messing with, right? Not in like the big render, and just like a quick render like this. I think it's really good for modeling. Yeah. It's more fun to work with when it looks right. I'm going to resize the window here. Fusion unfortunately relies on your monitor being very wide, and I've got my three windows on the right here, so we're rather intrusive to one of these working streams. I don't do like a green screen. Otherwise, you'd have my dumpy looking self in the corner, but I like having you guys up. I like having the desk where I can show things moving around. Well, there are the temporary email creators. Those are useful too. But Bug Me Not was where you would get like a full password to something. So if you were trying to get a file off of a forum, you could get like a fake account 123 would list themselves on Bug Me Not, and then you would look it up and get fake account 123's account, and you could jump into the forum and download and then never use the account again. It was good for a lot of those really temporary things that you needed on the old forum-based internet. There's our steel bearing. All right, so this is an assembly. So this is where all of our various files assemble into one file. So it is perfectly fine for me to take this other file, drag and drop it into this thing. What you don't have on an assembly, wait a minute, this is the wrong one. No, this is the right one. Hold on a sec. What is this timeline? Yeah, the timeline is just me pulling things in and fixing them in place. We've done a lot of crazy stuff in CAD, a lot of crazy RC car stuff, and those files eventually get completely convoluted because I was doing the same thing in the assembly and creating the objects. So what Fusion has decided to do is separate out those two different types of files. So now you have this assembly drawing where all of my components come together, but then when I'm 3D modeling the component itself, I do that in a different file. And so what you would do is you would edit in place or create a new assembly inside of this thing. So for my purposes, if I were to, actually, how do I start a new object from nothing? I think maybe I'd want to edit the face of the bearing component. And so I would have my object is connected to this component before we figure out how the other components go into it. It splits up your timelines. It makes sure that things are referenced properly. I think it fixes a couple different things that are, oh, here we go. Yeah, create is what we would do. So I can create and then I can project the geometries onto this, or I think what I can do is possibly, if I select that face, what can happen there? I could create a sketch in here, but I can't extrude anything in here. So if I create a sketch that can help me position things properly, but it won't be any kind of like a whatever. Okay. I'm starting to get my thoughts together on this and how to use it, but we'll get there eventually. Now, how do I want this thing to work? Do I want to press the bearing into this plate, or do I want to use two bearings? I kind of just want to use the one to hold up like a vertical arm, but then it needs to go into another one of these. So we need two sections on the arm. And so we could make it look like the Steam logo, basically. Where are we? Hold on. There we are. They make it look like that. That into that, and then that would hold the head of the thing. Or I could make like a bone looking thing. I'm trying to think. That's got to go into another one of the bearings, and I think it would be best if it was big and open, and then I could have a shoulder bolt go into that, or I could have it two different things, so the two things would come out and go into another thing that I could then hold on to. Yeah, so if I do it that way, so that the bolt goes into that. This is crazy. What's so crazy about it? My dog is like attacking everybody. I don't know what's going on. Oh, shoulder bolts in. I got some in here. I do have a big one that I could use, but then if I use this plate, it's a pick and place machine. I mean, you know, yeah. We're not automating anything. It's just going to be like a wrist rest with a thing that we can dip down, dip, in order to grab stuff. Is it like an alarm going off, or? Huh. Where did that? Oh, okay. There's one on my desk. Hold on, let me go get it. I gotta go get it. I got this like giant shoulder bolt. I don't know if that'll work with this. I think that big shoulder bolt works with something else. I'm sort of still like idea farming and gathering resources to try to make this happen. It would be nice if I could make some rapid progress with this, though. These are not the right size. Maybe we'll just forego the bearing. No, we need the bearings. We need the bearings. These are too big for it, though. I may need to find a big shoulder bolt that'll take two of the bearings. These were for the 3D printer spool. I've got this big like fluid bearing that's like real chunky. Okay, so this is the wrong thing. Those are too big. And I have ones for the V-belt stuff, not this stuff. So those were, I would have to buy specific bolts for them unless we bolt it. I mean, put a washer under it and then put a big like M6 through the whole thing. That might be the way. That might be the way we do it. And then this will be something that comes out that way, and then another bolt, maybe even a smaller bearing on the end, and then a thin connector to whatever we're going to. Or we probably got to keep it big. We got to probably keep it big. All right, so let's start with that. And actually, instead of doing that in the assembly, I'm going to bring that into the component, because we'll just make our own component, and then we'll figure out how to attach it to the cart later. Anyway, the way that assemblies work is that the assembly drawing is just for your parts. This sketch shouldn't even be in here. I think I made it. Yeah, I made it for the this piece, for the side piece right here. And then I think I remade it in its own thing. So this, I think, can delete. What happens if I delete it, though? Yeah, nothing happened to the drawing. So yeah, there should be no sketches in your assembly drawing. But let's get this object out of here. What's that? Oh, context. I don't know what that's about. Let's get that part out of there, and we're just going to start a new thing. So create new component. Design name is down in this window, and I'm going to call it the arm end. Is it going to be two components, or is it going to be one component with multiple solids? So my problem with the assembly drawing is that right now you started editing in place, right? This is not saved until you hit save and it creates a file over here. I built my entire cart assembly, and then I tried to export the solids to put in my slicer, and it would not export them. What I needed to do was finish edit in place and then save. You got to save after finishing your edit in place, then it'll make the files, then you can export. So it causes an error to happen. That's sort of the important thing that I wanted to stress today. I had a parcel delivered today. I should go recover it from the neighbor's house. I have my batteries coming for the uninterruptible power supply. So I guess I'm not going to just design this in free space. Unless I do finish edit in place and I hit save, and then it makes the file. I'm going to wait for it to make the file. This method of working on objects is, I think, superior, and I'm glad that they're forcing me to do it, because before, all of my stuff would just be in one big file with one big timeline, and I'd try to organize it into individual components, and then I learned how to spin off components from that big timeline. Forcing me to do it properly is the best way. I think this is good, because it keeps your files from eating themselves, because that would happen in my big ones. Okay. So we're starting a totally new thing, and so now I can bring in this guy. Okay, so I guess I need to convert it into a new assembly if I do that. What the heck? Well, then how am I supposed to edit the all the dimensions and stuff? It's not supposed to be an assembly. It's supposed to be a component that happens to have another component in it. Unless I have to reference the assemblies into assemblies into assemblies. That's really annoying to have to do. But I guess if I know that the thing's going to go in that other file, we can just put it in here. What I worry about is when I move things around, because I'm going to build this arm, and then I'm going to position it where I want it to go. And I guess if I move the component in here, the reference assembly off of that component will move. I hope so. I'm just going to have to, we got to learn this new method, but let's move this into here. I'm going to leave it, actually, yeah, Control Z. I'm going to leave it on the floor. So we've got that thing there, and then I'm going to, what? Well, how do I edit arm end now? We go over to here, arm end 1, and hit edit. And then all this stuff is referenceable in my thing. But then when I have a sketch in a particular position that relies on a projection of a component, and I move that component, what happens? Okay, we got to test this. We got to test this. My methodologies are breaking apart. So let's create a sketch on this. And we'll project in the outer radius. Oh, that's not the outer radius. Project in the outer radius. Let's go to the other side of it, and that'll look a little better. Oh my god, and then turn off all this crap. I mean, it's possible that I could just do it by having assemblies of assemblies of assemblies. Oh, you've got... Okay, so project this in. And then let's just like make a radius around it. Just make it... Yeah, 30 looks good. 30. And then finish that sketch just to do a quick little extrude. Oh, E for extrude. Yeah, there we go. -8. All right, so there's our skateboard wheel. Finish the edit in place. Save it. So I guess that's the reference assembly is, the context is coming through there. What does that mean though? I guess that means I've edited something in place. So if I then want to move this into position, what do I do? Move copy. That was not what I wanted. Why are this still... Oh, because I'm editing this, but what if I move this over here? So now there's a position anchor in place. Okay, so it'll still move independent of that. And it won't affect the design of the component. I guess that's what that reference assembly, the context is. Huh, I'm gonna have to figure out how this all works with each other. Yeah, if it's an assembly and an assembly of assembly of assembly, I don't know what that's all about. I guess maybe what I do need to do is have a nesting assembly document, but then if I go to edit the component, I'll be editing that assembly, and then do I go into that assembly and edit the... Oh my god, I've got to learn so much stuff. So let's undo what all we just did. And I'm going to turn this into an assembly document. I'm trying AutoCAD. I'm trying to learn it. I'm trying to learn it the proper way. Why is that locked? Move this into here. Convert to assembly. Now this is an assembly. Position, origin. This one, should this one attach from below and the other one from above? I don't know what the hardware is going to look like for this yet, but we'll just start with this. And so I want to start with the radius. Well, that's going to be for a bolt to go through. So I guess what we really want is, let's put a sketch on a round thing. Yeah, we want that inner surface. So we want this here, and I'm going to create a sketch. Actually, wait. Control-C. How long is this thing going to be? So I'm going to select this whole thing and do move copy. The following components may be rigidly assembled to the default component and can't move. Create copies of the component. Why is that rigid? Hold on, cancel that. Yeah, it's anchored for some reason, so I need to unanchor it. Unground from parent. I don't know why it does that. Maybe I should leave that as the anchoring component, but So now if I go to move copy, it's not going to mess with me. It kind of like auto assigns the first thing you drag in as the anchor component. Move copy, and then create a copy, And then we're moving this out. And then what distance should it be? Let me get a ruler. I mean, how far out do I want this? Like, if it's on this corner and I'm working here, it goes all the way up there, and then this comes down from there, and then that's like free floating in that area. How long does it look in our reference here? There we go. It's like a couple 300 millimeter. No, far longer than that. 10 centimeters? Oh, it's a little further out than that. Then it links back in. This is like, I have nothing. I gotta look around to see if I could use other components to do this too. Like not 3D print everything all the time. I mean, using the 2020 rail might work here. But then I need to figure out like a bearing mount 2020 rail thing. Sometimes you use AutoCAD and sometimes AutoCAD uses you. Because if I make it out of these rails, then I've got a pretty strong mount. And it's a little thinner too. Oh, let me get a couple little scrap rails. Let's see here. Little pieces of scrap rail. I've got these pivots, but these are really bad. I don't want to use them. I'll just bring one over just to show it. They got these things that are like pivots for the rail, but they're really quite bad. No bearings or anything. Try to work some thrust bearings in there, but I don't think that'll really feel good. But if I had one coming off of this thing like that, and the other one maybe like, that would be very rigid indeed. It's a little heavy, but it would be very rigid. Better than the 3D print, I think. But how to make this work with that's kind of a mystery. I don't think that would really work out unless I make a specific housing on the end that does all that. 2 bearings in it. I don't know. I'm just thinking. What do you guys think? What does chat think? What do they think? Do they think? Are they capable of think? I mean, I could have a bracket on the top of this, or make something that surrounds it and bolts it into here, and that goes down into the other piece. Do I think meeting? I think, but then I need to sleep for a while afterwards. Yeah, that is kind of rough like that, man, you know? Well, let's design just a 2-arm thing and use an arbitrary distance, and I'll 3D print it and I'll see how it feels. And then we'll probably end up doing something with the stronger rails. If I could print something that would house the bearing rigidly enough. But I don't know if I, like make it a little thing. But let's just start with like an arbitrary distance here. Just a 100 millimeter swing arm that I can install into this thing. And then we'll go with the inside bearing on the other part. But like, I don't know, it needs to be tall to be rigid, doesn't it? Well, let's just try it and see what ends up. I'm gonna hit save on this and see what happens to this. That thing is just constantly thinking, what's going on there? All right, so we've got our 2 bearings in there. I didn't lock anything in position, but it's not asking me to. And I hit Control S, but it's not doing anything. So what I'm going to do is try to open up a sketch on this and see if we can build our thing. All right, I want to look at it from this side. And then I'm going to project in the outside radius of these. That will print, I think, exactly the size. And that way the bearings will like really press in. What filament? I use PETG for all of my prints. I've got my printer set up for PETG at the moment, which is, it's a little bit flexible, but it's also extremely strong. So if we design this correctly, it could be pretty rigid indeed. And we're going to use some special stuff. We're going to use some special AutoCAD stuff with this. Oh my God, is it already that late? We've been very distracted. It's been a fun day though. So we're going with 30 millimeters again. 30 millimeters outside of the thing. We're just gonna design this solid and then we'll call it a day. 30 millimeters. I've got another hour though. And we'll see what it's like when I actually print the thing out. You know, I'll try to make this thing 8 millimeters tall. But here's, okay, so I don't want to necessarily make it a direct, I kind of want to put like a curve on it. Like if I take it directly, no, maybe not. Here, let's do a construction line. Okay, how am I going to do this? I'm going to locate this with a construction. I hit X to go into construction line, come out here like that. I need like a bounding box in order to make a... Well, if I make it like a tangent line, I don't know. I'm just something is going to inform me of how this thing should be shaped. So I'll take those points from the rectangle, and I'll put a 3-point curve on it, and then we'll just see what happens. Conic? No. Arc. Actually, what would a tangent arc look like? Not great. Not what I'm looking for. Nope. Mm-mm. So let's do inside arc, and then how thin in the middle do I want it to get? Hit D for distance. Oh, that's already there. Never mind. It's already there. Yeah, I'm just making these construction lines to inform the design. I'm just doing this for fun. This is just going to be a little bit of a test, and just a kind of for funsies design. Yeah, okay, so doing it from that point is not good. So I don't actually need all of this stuff, if only just to get to there. And then what I need to do is create the arc, and I just go from an arbitrary point that's not bound to any particular geometry. From those two, that wasn't an arc, that was a line. Why did I do line? Create arc, 3-point arc, any old spot, tie it to my 2 millimeter offset there. And then what we can do is we can constrain this to be tangent. So constrain, tangent, this on this. And now it'll create that taper that we're looking for. There we go. And I can see already I need to probably make this like 6. I'll make it a much... I mean, rigidity is kind of our goal here, so this isn't going to really help with rigidity, doing this fancy stuff. What? I hit escape and it's thinking really hard now. Okay, let's tangentialize these two. Constrain tangent this to this. And then actually what I'll do is I'm gonna, what the hell was that? That was the 3DX connection stuff. I am going to unbind this, I think. If I get rid of the dimensions on this, now that line is variable and I can make it equal. So the constraint is going to be, oh, I need to actually click on the thing. Oh, this is what I hate. When I hit escape in AutoCAD, it suddenly starts thinking about something really hard. And it's like, what are you thinking about? What's going on there, bud? So click and hold in order to highlight just the sketch line. In River Rubicon and dark mode, they need to redo the color scheme a little bit here because that's hard to see. But you can see that it's only that small line segment. And then I'm going to constrain and equal to this one. There. Now they are symmetrical. So I'm going to make that 8mm until it feels good. Why does it have to think so hard? Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, that looks like the right kind of thing. And I think that's all that I need. So what I'll do is finish the sketch, and then we're going to extrude this one and this one. Well, do I extrude all three? Actually, extrude this one first. I'm hitting E and nothing is happening. What's going on? Oh, this is an assembly. Oh, stupid, stupid, stupid. That looks like a Wii Fit board. Can I cut and paste sketch objects? I shouldn't have sketched that in here. Well, we know how to make it again really quickly. I'm gonna try that and just finish sketch. We're not using that sketch. I need to create an object. The sketch would be just locate the object, but I need a new component. And I'm going to call that arm thingy. Damn it, I forgot that step. That was a vital step, so take that from me. You want to create a new component, not just a sketch. I've got to unlearn. I got to unlearn this stuff. Associativity in edited places unavailable for arm thingy. You cannot create assembly contacts in arm thingy right now because one or more components are what? Because they're out of what? What the hell? Why? Huh? What's the, what? Okay, well, let's create a sketch on one of these again. I don't really want it to be from, well, I guess I can't create it on an object. So we'll just make it in origin. And let's get around to the other side of this. I don't think I can control V, can I? Nope, control V did nothing. Darn. Okay, so now we're going to project these things on. Why will you not allow me to project the geometries? Oh, chat, I'm having trouble today. So I can't get to the, oh, probably because, wait, because it's out of, it says it's out of, just finish our sketch and get out of here. Edit the finish in place, and then get latest. I guess I'm discarding it. Yeah, that whole sketch is going to be gone. Huh. So, so what the heck? Weird. So I'm trying to make a new assembly, and that's called arm end. And this thing has just made an arm end 1 out of the whole thing. Something is weird about the flow Like this is still loading. Everything's just a little bit janky right now. I think what I need to do is I need to make a new assembly. But I don't really want it to be associated. Pattern, component, set, insert, plus over here. I mean, the assembly is going to be based on the parts, so. Oh, perhaps we need a hybrid design. Maybe that's what we need. This is all new to me, so you guys are learning with me. If we make a hybrid design, can I grab this, pull it in? Okay, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So that's fine at origin, and then we're gonna move copy. Oh, but did this anchor? Yeah, it anchored itself. Well, actually, if I do move copy from here, it's gonna let me create a copy and put that. What was our distance again? It was like 100 millimeters. We'll try first with 100 millimeter. And so now that this is a hybrid design, I can actually just go to the surface and create a sketch. And there we are. And I'll be able to extrude from it because we still have all those extrusion tools. So I'm going to do this again, project the outer race of the bearing. I may have to buy skateboard bearings if I want to continue doing this. And then actually what I'll do is I'll take this and do one of these. Oh, I can't do two? Ah. So make that like 4 millimeter. Yeah, that's pretty good. And do another one of these. That way it's just like a wall thickness instead of whatever else. And then I need my center line, so we'll just do it this way this time. Go from here to here. And then take the center of that, create a line going out. 8 millimeters, we'll up that to 10 in a minute. Oh, that should be, so click on it and hit X to make it into a, whatever it is, a construction line that doesn't affect stuff. So we're going to take this line and make it arbitrary. Now, damn it, X. Work in construction, constrain, equal, U to U. There we go. That's our little projection there. And then I'm going to create an arc. Arbitrary. Oh, non-construction, arbitrary, and then lock it there. Same thing here. Arbitrary, this is a different command. Or was it? No, that might have been the right command. My apologies. Arc, 3-point arc. Random spot, orc, and then we need tangent constrain. Tangent, U and U. U and U. Come on over here. I'm only doing this to make it look fancy. That's it. That's the only purpose. Make that 10. Okay, so now I'm going to extrude these as 3 separate objects, and you'll see the reason in a minute. Actually, do I want... You know what? No, they can be all one object. I think the command will be okay with it. So finish the sketch. Let's get this out of the way because that's too confused. Extrude this, this, and this. And we're in a hybrid design so that our assemblies and our references and all that stuff are all just contained in one thing. It's, I don't know, it's, for the main one, I'll keep that as an assembly. Why is that the positive direction? -7. Yeah, that'll be good. Okay, -7 millimeters is a new body, done. Now what I can do is go into the plastic tools. So in the plastic tools, I got some pretty cool stuff up here. I can actually make a shell out of this thing. And if I do 4 millimeters, then I got that going on. Now how do I... The inside thickness 4 millimeter, direction inside. And then that's the only control that I get over it. It like arbitrarily decided what that distance was going to be. which is a little weird. Well, I guess that's all right. I could make those walls a little thinner if I really want to. But if I use extrude, I can also like core out the center if I want. I think I want a little bit of that plastic in there though. Now the tools that I would like to use were web, but I don't really know how to use it. So I can't really... Yeah, I don't know how to web this. It's supposed to be a profile, but none of the stuff... I'll have to look up how to use the web tool. I'll have to look up how to use the web tool. All right, so for Sharts and Gargles, this is just our test of what this stuff is. I thought this was the web. Yeah, how do you use this tool? I do have that infill thing that I could use on this to make it like a lattice work, but I think I'm going to try printing this and just see what my impressions of it are. I made it kind of fancy looking just because, and this will print really easily on the 3D printer. So in order to make a 3D print of this, make sure you save. So this is now called test arm. Make sure you save, and especially when you're dealing with assemblies like I should learn how to do, you have to hit save in order for the export stuff to work. What I do is I go over to the bodies and I rename body 1 into a file name that I'm going to recognize. So test arm. A file that I recognize, I right click and I do save as mesh. And then the settings that come up by default, here, move that over so you guys can actually see it. The settings that come up by default are just what I use. I just leave it in all of its refinement settings and all that other stuff. And Super Slicer seems to be okay with it. I probably need to upgrade my slicer and whatever's running my 3D printer. I probably need to upgrade all of that, but things work as they are right now, so I'm going to continue using it. But this I'm then going to click OK on. It's just going to save it to a desktop folder called temp prints, and then I can drag and drop that into my slicer with all of its relevant settings. My printer was acting up. It wasn't printing properly. It started to curl the PETG a bunch when I was printing parts for this piece of the pick and place. And I was generally just getting extremely frustrated with it. And I discovered after editing a couple little, what's that? You draw a sketch on the face you want the web to extrude off. So you need a sketch. Pre-flight is the one that's everybody's using. Yeah, there's always a new one, and you always have to upgrade, and you always have to do all this other stuff in order to like keep your printer running. And I don't know, it just worked as I had it. What is that going to do? So many errors. Still on Cura? Yeah, I use Octoprint and I use Super Slicer, but the Super Slicer, like there's new like tree branch supports that I don't have access to, and like ironing and stuff like that. So I think I do need to like upgrade soon. How does this work? It does not like whatever I'm doing. Cura does all those trees and iron stuff too. I see, okay. Well, I gotta see where like Super Slicer's gone. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna just have to print this and then I'll get an impression of how it feels. I've got tomorrow to, I guess, begin designing this arm. I don't know if it'll be 3D printed yet. Although I would prefer it to be like a big metal thing, that might be too heavy. Yeah, I think somebody picked back up on Super Slicer, so it's being updated again. What up, Jeremy? And I'm just wrapping up here. Here, I didn't set up the end card yet. Let me do that, and then we'll head out. But yeah, so my design flow, the flow of steps that I use to design stuff in AutoCAD has slightly changed. So June 4th, slightly changed, and they've kind of changed the way that they want files to be organized. But honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I'm stalling so you can ask the question. Go ahead and ask the question. What do you want? What do you want from me, YouTuber? The flow of steps has changed. Making a hybrid drawing is how I used to work, where you would pull in your solids and then make the rest of the assembly. I think maybe I'm gonna have to do sub-assemblies that are hybrids that I then take into a main assembly drawing. Burn the subs, the entire design file for Burn the Subs is now obsolete. And like this forces me to be more organized, and it keeps the files from eating themselves when they get too complicated. Having a specific assembly drawing and then you edit the sub-assemblies from that is a very good way to do it. And basically what I would do is in the assembly drawing now, I can pull in test arm and position it and then create another design that would use both elements to attach everything together. Well, you didn't ask the question in time. Control S. Here's the end card with what pathetic social media I have left in my life, which is just Discord. It's just Discord. This, by the way, this stream, oh, I forgot to click the contains an ad. Wait, let's go to that, and let's go to edit that. What is it? What happens if you forget? Here, I'm just gonna, for like a minute or two, we're gonna click on the, hold on, I gotta do, this stream contains a paid promotion, save. So, if you guys didn't know, I can't type fast enough. Well, I have a little explaining to do before we end. I'm gonna be back on Thursday. I do the skip a day in the middle of the week just in case we need to order parts. We may work on something else on Thursday. I will try to print these parts, this part that we designed today in AutoCAD, and you know, we can see if the rigidity is enough. A lot of the numbers that I put in there are very arbitrary, and if it's not rigid enough, that thing will move around in ways that we don't want it to move. Essentially what this is designed to do in this pick and place is you have your wrist rest, and then you have something that moves in XY that you can move with your fingers in order to keep everything basically parallel to the work surface. So you can pick something up and then parallelly put it down. I'm picking up what you're putting down. How do I properly clean grease and salt as well as apply grease again properly? Motherfucker, I'm an electronics YouTube live stream. What do I know about grease, man? On what? What are you talking about? I mean, I appreciate the sub, yeah, but like, you coming in here and you're asking me about grease? There's so much to grease and salt. On the bug assault? Oh man, I do not know. I took it apart and I put it right back together. What I did to the bug assault was I bubbled it up. I designed a bunch of 3D printed, again with Fusion 360, I designed a bunch of 3D printed Picatinny rails so that I could put Bubba gun hardware onto the bug assault. So it's got a sight and everything. That shit's too clean. Man, I do good work. This is all in Fusion. This is all in AutoCAD Fusion. There. This, I don't know about greasing and oiling inside the bug assault. Certain things, sure, but you're best finding somebody else who's an expert, because I bought this thing because I thought it would be funny, and then I found a giant spider down here and I shot it with it, and the spider just was mad. It just looked at me like, what are you doing? This is for winged bugs. It's for winged bugs. I think maybe it's in my personal projects, because I did this all off air. Let's see. Bug assault. Yeah, these were done like, oh my God, 2024. And then I had to angle the Picatinny rail because the this thing is not accurate. So And then these are what mount into the ridges along the bug assault. So the pressure from the screws on the outside is what kind of holds this thing, quote unquote, steady. But mostly I did it just as a joke, because you could buy a bunch of this gear off of Amazon as like paintball and airsoft accessories. So paintball and airsoft accessories, and then I kind of just adapted it over to these things. These were some comprehensive designs, though. It was a lot of fun figuring out how to make all of it. I mean, you can see all the steps here, all the chamfering and stuff that I had to do. My salt gun right now is completely taken apart. I happen to see you're live and popped in. That actually has happened before too. That one live stream where we took this thing apart just to see how it works. It was a live stream, and so there were people leaving comments like, bro, this is the worst tutorial I've ever seen. I'm like, what? I'm just doing this for fun. Like, look at this. It's not accurate. Yeah, that was literally just like an exploration of what's inside of the plastic, just to see how products are made, because we do a lot of 3D design here. And again, you want to know a little bit about how products go together and come apart in order to do the kind of crazy 3D design and other electrical stuff that we do here. Man, you just come in and ask about grease, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is in arm's reach. I still have to make this into the police special where it doesn't look like a little orange pokey bit. All right, anyway, I'm just ending the stream right now. We're done. I gotta go home. I will catch everybody later. I'm gonna be back on Thursday. We did a little bit of AutoCAD. I need to do a little bit of printing of parts. Yeah, no problem. I appreciate giving context of what you're asking. What is this place? What? No, this is my house. I like saying stuff like that just because it confuses people. But anyway, I will be back. In the meantime, Twitch viewers, let's just see where we're at, if we can raid you guys into another channel. YouTubers, I'm just gonna stop going live because YouTube doesn't have these kinds of features. Who is around? Who is around? Who is it? Nobody's around. Special events. Oh, Gonad just went live. Let's throw you guys a Gonad here. And I'm gonna go walk the dog, so when he asks, tell him I'm, you know, pooping on the neighbor's lawn. Let us raid Twitch viewers into Flatulent Gonad. Into Flatty, yeah. You can raid on YouTube now? I don't even know who I would raid. I don't know YouTubers. I'm just on YouTube because I'm like, hey, here I am. Please give me viewers. You are late if Gonad has actually gone live already? What do you mean I'm late? Oh, you mean, yeah, my stream? Well, no, we're still within, other times I'd go to 5:30, it'd go like a whole nother hour. But again, I'm done designing the part, so all I do is throw it into my slicer and hit print. I upped the temperature of my bed and now it prints perfectly. I did all these other tweaks and nothing worked to finally solve my problem. I've been so discombobulated I didn't finish that sentence. All right, let's raid Twitch into Flatulent Gonad. Did I spell it right? I did. And then YouTubers, I'm just going to go offline. You guys can check out Flatulent Gonad on Twitch if you feel like. He runs a good stream. There's a lot to look at visually. I, however, am not going to join you. I am going to go walk my dog. And I will catch you all later on Thursday. And I have all kinds of, like, we got to work on music stuff. We got to work on this pick and place. We got to work on Burn the Subs. So we're going to work on that then. I will catch you later. Have a good one. Goodbye. There we go. So there all the raiders go. And now there's a couple stragglers who have something like VLC Media Player or whatever. And then there's YouTubers. So I'm going to stop the YouTubers.